Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Podcast 572. As always, I'm your host, Kyle, joined by my two friends, Dan and Matt. We're back once again to talk about some more. I have a big new release that I can talk about, and I'll get to it in a little bit. That is Avowed. I've played a little bit of Avowed, and I have some stuff to say about Avowed, so we'll talk about that. But like other stuff that I played, like I think I mentioned it a little bit the last episode we recorded. I have picked up a PS4 Pro, or sorry, PS5 Pro. It's so hard for me to say PS5.
PS4 Pro.
It's because we were just talking about PS4 Pro before we recorded.
Yeah.
So, I have a PS5 Pro. I have used it a little bit more extensively since the last time we recorded because I had just kind of gotten it at that point. I'm still not sold on it. That's what I would tell you. I have not played, and again, I have not tried like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth or anything that's supposed to really make it pop. So maybe that's what I need to do. It's just I don't feel like downloading that game right now because that's a game I have digitally. I don't have a physical copy, but I don't feel like downloading that 100 and whatever gigs just to load it up for 5 minutes ago. Yep, this looks better.
That's why mine is still not even deleted off my PS5 because it's like I know I'm going to go back that game someday.
Yeah.
And, you know, even though I realized yesterday that game's been out for over a year.
It is a year next week.
Yeah,
it was the end of February last year.
Yeah.
It is crazy how fast that flew.
Yeah. But that's why I've never deleted it though, because like I do have to go back and play hard mode sometime, and I don't want to have to reinstall.
I know like apparently Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is like a game that really takes advantage of it, but like I need to play the first one, so I don't feel like dropping $70 on the second one just to say, hey, this looks a little better. So I have played. So what I did in the interim here, waiting for Avowed, is I think we talked last week. I started pushing like you should go and play that Mass Effect trilogy. Yeah. I went ahead and just finished my run of Mass Effect 2. I just blazed through it and was like, I got back into the groove with that. I actually ended up starting 3. I platinum 2. So like I did everything.
The nice thing about these like re-releases is the platinums are reasonable.
It's reasonable because they have like, it's weird kind of how they break it out because there's technically 4 platinums you can get. There's a platinum for each game, and then there's a 4th list for like the insanity runs
for the trilogy,
and for the trilogy. So it combines those. Or like there's kill trophies that are combined between the 3 games, romance ones. Those are all in like a 4th list that you can get a platinum for. So I will say the one thing that I have not done on any of these runs is insanity. I'll save that for the next time I want to play through the trilogy.
Yeah.
But I've platinum 1, I platinum 2, so I'll platinum 3 next. I did start 3 briefly as I was waiting for Avowed, but again, that's something I can easily put down and come back to in 6 months and be fine. Like I've played those games through so many times. But again, I mean, that's a fantastic collection. If you have Plus, it was a Plus game, I think a year or 2 ago. So
yeah, a while ago.
Yeah. And it's always on sale. I think for a while we were finding it at Walmart for like $10 physically.
Yeah, I realized the other day after you talked to me about it, I own a physical copy of it too.
You bought it when it was $10, yeah,
for $10.
Yeah, they had it for a while. They might still be able to get it for $10. It seems like it's always around that price at Walmart. So, other than that, the only other 2 things I really looked at before we talk about Avowed is Supermarket had a big update where they added now you can do vegetables and fruits, but you have to man a weighing station when customers want to do that. So the problem now is there is too much going on in that game because now it's okay. Well, customers want you to stand at this weighing thing all day and weigh their fruits and vegetables, but you also have to be watching out for people stealing. You have to be watching out for people like throwing shit on the ground. And you're responsible now for like maintaining the cleanliness of the store. So I'm hoping with like another update, you can start hiring people to man some of these other things.
Without being able to hire people to do that, that's overload.
It's overload.
Too much.
Yeah, because I played like 1 or 2 days and I just was like, this is too much to try and do right now. So I've kind of shelved that and see. They're still updating. It's still not in a version 1.0. So Laundry Store, I grinded out the new content they put in that game. Now I have, I sent you a picture of it earlier because I hired a new person and forgot to turn auto pay on. So she didn't get paid. She was throwing up her little sign that says, I won't work until I get paid or whatever. So I had to fix that. But they've added another room where you can have someone stock like the shelves that are in your laundry store that sell like detergent and stuff. Mm-hmm. So that's that lady's job. I have not unlocked the food cart yet. That is actually not in this update. It's the next one coming. So I can see on the blueprint map I have where it's going to be.
What version releases this game on?
1.5, 1.6, something like that. But they just keep adding content to it, and it's a fun thing for me. That's my podcast game. Like that's a game I throw on. I listen to a podcast while I play and grind out that stuff. But it's still fun. It's still definitely worth the $8 I spent on that game. I put more time into that. Yeah. But we'll talk about the big release of the week, at least for me, and obviously the first big Microsoft release of the year, which is Avowed, is out now. I think they did an early access thing, but they did it kind of slimy this time. So like like Starfield and Indiana Jones, you could, if you have Game Pass, you could pay like 30 something and play it like 5 days early. Mm-hmm. This game you could only buy the $95 version of the game.
Oh shit!
So
yeah.
But what's weird is I had multiple people on my Xbox friends list that did that, and that's what was confusing.
There's no way. $95.
I had 3 people that paid that to do that.
That's real fucked up for a game that's free, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you have Game Pass, you don't need to do that. So I waited until Tuesday. I'm not paying $95.
That's crazy. I would never do that.
And this is what I'll say, and it kind of it annoys me a little bit. Like there's a lot of scuttle around this game because that was kind of decided like, oh, maybe this falls in the category of it being a woke game because of the pronoun stuff. It's not. I'll say I've played 3 hours of it now. I wish I played more. So, but my girlfriend's sick right now, so that kind of took a lot of my time away from playing a lot this week. But I will say the 3 hours I played, the only thing is the pronoun stuff. If you don't want to be into that at all, you can turn it off from the beginning. Whatever. You don't have to touch that ever. As far as like characters saying anything or anything, there's nothing like that. It reminds me, it's exactly what at least I wanted the game to be, which it seems like it's Obsidian's attempt at making Oblivion.
Right.
And
yeah, we
what
talked
that
about
is
this
like
even
a
before it came
smaller,
out.
tighter Oblivion, where it's not an open world, but it's like open zones.
Right. Like how Outer Worlds is Fallout.
Yeah.
Streamlined.
It has more of a verticality to it. So there's a lot going on in a zone. But I'd say the biggest draw, at least for me, is the combat. Combat in this game is fantastic because you can mix and match whatever you want. You're not tied to a specific class. You can put points in whatever you want across any class. So, for example, if you want to, you can have in one hand, you can have a spell book and cast like 4 different spells. There's like fireballs, ice, whatever, like the generic things you can think of.
Stuff, right?
And on the other hand, you can have an axe or a sword, whatever.
Oh,
you can run around. You could run around technically with a shield and the book if you wanted to. If you like, you can get wacky with it. And I think that's really cool. One of the other cool things, and like how the combat and those systems go a little bit deeper than I'd say something like Oblivion or Skyrim is. For example, like if you put points into a specific spell, because when you pick up the spell book, you don't have to have any points in magic at all. You can just use it. But if you have points in a specific spell that's in that book, it'll make it much stronger.
Okay.
Which is cool. So like I put points into the fire spell and it makes it much stronger. But you don't have to. You could play this entire game, completely avoid putting any points into magic and pick up that spell book and use it just fine. It doesn't block you from doing anything like that. So, like I said, instead of having a tree where it's like, okay, I'm going to be a fighter, so I'm locked into this tree, it's not like that. You can literally put points anywhere you want. And I think that's really cool. It's refreshing. That's unlike any, like one of these types of games that I've played. So, it looks phenomenal visually, I think. Like it's also a really colorful game. Like it has a lot of color that pops. I've tried it. So I've played it on PC. I've played it on my TV in my office here. and I have played it on my OLED TV. And I will say between the three, and it works on all three like just fine. It is a little rougher on console if you don't have a TV that has VRR, the variable refresh rate. The reason I say that is because you cannot turn off motion blur in the console version, and it is, if you don't have VRR, it is really noticeable. So it's not, if I would say, I would always say the worst implementation of motion blur I've ever seen is State of Decay 2 before they patched that game. It was unplayable for me. Like it made my eyes bleed, basically. I couldn't do it. It's not that bad, but it's noticeable enough where like I was playing on the TV in here behind me in the office, and it was a rough time in comparison to the OLED TV. It works flawlessly. So, but you can run the game at 60. You can run, there's a quality. So if you don't have a VRR TV, you have two modes, which is balanced. You have performance and you have quality. So 30-60. If you have a VRR TV, you have three modes. You have a third one called balanced, which they kind of did that like Harry Potter game where it's like a 40 frames, but I run it at 60 with the VRR thing turned on and it seems fine. It runs pretty solid. PC, it works fine. And I'll say the save anywhere feature, because it's a play anywhere game, works flawlessly for this game. I've had no issues, because sometimes some of these other, like specifically these types of RPGs where you can save and save and save and save,
sure,
it becomes a problem. And I already have 10 save files in this game.
Yeah,
it's been fine. So that works really, really well. So, but I haven't dived into it too much. I will say one of the other things that's really cool, and I would not have known this if I hadn't just been playing Mass Effect 2, but the first companion that you meet in the game, his name's Kai, he's like a blue looking dude, is voiced by Garrus, the guy that did Garrus's voice.
Garrus,
and like I said, and it's only because I recently played Mass Effect 2 that I was like, boy, that sounds like Garrus. And then I looked up, like, sure enough, same voice actor. So pretty cool. But I'm having a blast with it. It's the thing that I'm probably going to dive a lot into this weekend and really get through. But it's been a while since I've started a game that has sucked me in from the beginning, and this one really has. So, I think I was you. I told, like, I really hope when this game, because this game will inevitably come to PS5. Like,
sure,
everything's going to come.
Definitely one of them.
I really hope they make a physical disc for this game that you can buy.
Well,
that'd be interesting.
I would like to actually own
it seems like at least for PlayStation, you know, they might not be producing discs for themselves anymore, but at least for PlayStation they are.
Yeah.
If not like for retail release, at least like, you know, not that I like them, but like limited run and stuff will.
This would be a little bit higher of a release for them to do, I would think.
No, but they did Grounded, and they did. They
have a relationship with Obsidian.
They have a thing.
They did Pentiment too, I think. Yeah, which was that other smaller one. So it's possible. But again, I'd say, and especially like I say, if you played the Outer Worlds and you were a huge fan of that, this is a fantasy version of that. So from what I've played thus far, and it just so far I've just had a blast with it. So that pretty much covers what I played. Like I said, there's been illness in the household, so I've been having to deal with that. So I will kick it to you, Dan.
Well, I mean, a lot more of the same recently, just because kind of waiting for the next kind of group of stuff. I realized recently that I have a big group of stuff that's kind of coming out in the next month or so.
What do you have besides baseball?
Well, that Claire Obscure game is coming. Suikoden, the thing is coming.
That's like in next week or the week
after.
Yeah,
that's very soon. Yeah. And then there was something else.
I have Split Fiction. We'll have that.
Yeah, we're gonna play that. So yeah, I mean, there's stuff coming. So, but mainly what I did is, you know, more of the Borderlands 3 slog. We're almost done. A main reason I want to talk about it this time is we ran into this fucking terrible glitch yesterday because you know, it's such a great, well-made game. Where we were doing some kind of mission. We're probably 75% done.
Okay.
And we're doing some kind of mission for Ellie where it's like, go here, do this, collect that. You know, the typical Borderlands trope.
Mm-hmm.
But somehow it overlapped with a previous quest we had done with her. So every minute or so, she would just yell, maybe you could find a way to shut off the power. Like, and it looped constantly. It
just keeps going.
Everything we tried to do, you know, we were like, why is this triggering? Like, is someone near something that this is causing this to happen? No, it just keeps going over and over and over.
Damn.
And then she would cut in with her dialogue from the mission we're on, and then she would cut back to that. Sometimes it would overlap. So it would just be like, this is like, I can't handle this right now. So finally, we finish this quest we're on, get back to the ship, go to turn it in, can't turn it in.
Oh, that's
because she seems to be stuck on this previous quest.
Okay.
So we're like, shit, none of us can turn this in. If this is broken, we're fucked. Because then that means we got to restart the whole thing. And I was like, all right, let's just quit the game. Everybody load back in and try. And luckily she took it and she doesn't say it anymore. But like, you know, just what a well-crafted game.
And that this is technically what you would call the better version of it too, because this originally came out on PS4.
I would think so. But it's just like, the more I play through this game, the more, I guess boring is the right word. Like, it's just boring. It's so fucking dumb.
It just seems like at this point it's kind of lost its magic from what that first game had.
The worst part is you can see ideas they have, and you can be like, that's a good idea. And then they fucking kill it. Like, there's a mission in this game, where the part where we're on, where you're going into one place and then like the two NPC characters are going some other place. And you know how like a trope in a game is like you have to solve some stupid puzzle where you read a glyph and you type in a thing and put all this stuff in. So the way they twist it is the other two are doing the puzzle and they're just talking about like all the stupid shit you would have to do the puzzle while you have to wait for them to do it. It's a good idea.
Yeah.
Except for the fact that it takes like 5 fucking minutes.
Yeah.
And they just keep talking about it. And every time they mess up the puzzle, you have to kill like 10 more guys. It falls into this. It's something that could have been interesting, but then it falls into the Borderlands trap of just throw more people at.
Yeah.
And like the game is losing what made it fun.
Yeah.
And I guess that makes sense because we're 4 fucking games deep. But I'm worried about the next one. Sorry, 5 games deep because Wonderlands counts too. That one at least was fun, and I didn't hate it.
Did you do the pre-sequel?
I haven't done that one since the original, like when it originally came out. I never went back and did it again. So maybe at some point I will. But you know, the only reason I'm finishing this is like I got to finish this before 4 comes out.
Yeah.
Even though I'm not.
You wouldn't want to go back after that.
No, I don't think I could. Is the problem because they're going to take some. And the other thing I realized too while we're playing this is how are we on Borderlands 3 and the inventory management system is still a complete piece of shit. Like your backpack and you can't sort stuff and nothing's big enough and it's hard to compare. Even when you do the compare thing, it's hard to compare because everything has secret functions that you're just supposed to know by the little stupid line of text. You cannot ever like fully sit down and go through your inventory in a reasonable way in this game.
That'd be something I would hope would
4
change.
Fucking games into this.
Yeah.
It's not going to change.
Oh, I'm sure not.
They're take
lazy.
away features more than they add them.
Yeah, I would say they're pretty lazy on that kind of stuff.
So I don't know. I'm hopeful to get this done, but then, you know, when we finish the story, I got 4 fucking DLCs to play.
Well, at least you know now that
DLCs to play through.
Now that we have the spoiler for news, but now we have a date for that game. At least you have like 6 months until you have to play for. It's not like it's coming out tomorrow.
No, and we play a couple times a week, so I'll be able to get it done relatively soon. But fuck this game, dude. Next thing is I finally finished WWE 2K24. I got the platinum, finished that game up. That game sucks too. Like I don't know how else to explain it anymore. Like it's fine for like the wrestling mechanics and stuff, but like characters still look like shit. The gameplay, like the storyline stuff is boring. It takes forever. Some of the stuff they want you to do, like the showcase mode, where it should be fun to play through all these WrestleManias.
It should be.
It just takes forever. Like even if that's the only thing you sit down and do, it's going to take you hours to replay all these matches. And then the final thing it gives you is, hey, win a Rumble from position number 1. And you're like, okay, I guess, you know, with it set to easy and all this other stuff, it's not that bad. Except when the game wants to fuck you, it fucks you.
Yeah.
Like it just when it wants to make your life hell, it does. And who else made my life hell but Hulk Hogan coming running down the fucking ramp at 27, and he fucked me up and threw me out, so I had to redo the whole thing.
Damn.
That game's just a slog, and like the faction mode, the card mode stuff is not fun. I don't know what they could possibly do. Like the new one comes out in next month?
Yeah.
Middle of next month. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll play that in a year when it's free
When it's
or
free
it's
on
$20.
Plus, yeah.
Yeah, so there's that. That's done. I was happy to delete it, we'll say.
The true
now that it's
trophy
deleted,
unlock.
Yeah, now that it's deleted, I installed Mass Effect 1 and I started playing Mass Effect.
I mean, you can see right away just from playing like how much they put into updating that game from how it originally was. It's absurd.
There's tons of quality of life stuff like right out of the gate. They even are like, we're just gonna make you play the new kind of mode, like the legendary mode as opposed to the classic, because it just kind of speeds stuff up. I love Mass Effect 1. Like we talked about it before. It's
the
my
original
favorite
one's
of the
still my
three.
favorite one. Yeah.
Just because it really felt like you were kind of building this character and meeting all these people.
It has more of the RPG element.
And it's an RPG.
It also like as even though the planets are pretty boring when you look at them now, it was fun to drive around those planets. And you don't really do that in any of the other Mass Effects.
Did I ever tell you this? My friend and I were talking about like shit you realized in a game way too late into playing a game. I never realized in Mass Effect 1 for probably about 75% of it, and that's a long time because I did everything.
Yeah.
That the Mako had a fucking rocket as well as a machine gun.
That's good.
So every time I was going around doing something, I was just using machine gun. And I'm like, this cannot be the intended way. And then it turns out I figured out it had a rocket launcher, and I went, oh my God.
I have a good one that can one-up that for you.
Yeah, I mean, please do, because that's the one that came to my mind. Where
a good friend of ours that you know very well played probably 60% of I think it was the second Dark Souls without locking onto a enemy.
That's
until
crazy.
Until to the point where I was watching them play and I asked, why aren't you locking onto these enemies? That's a thing. I'm like, yeah, dude. Like that's a big thing with Dark Souls. Pretty bad.
Yeah.
Like just that, like what a way to make it.
It just
harder
makes you feel so dumb because like I was driving around killing those like thresher worm things and just being like, this is terrible. Whoever designed this is wrong. And then it's like, oh no. Yeah, I was doing it wrong the entire time. I'm not even that far in this. Like I'm still just kind of, I'm at the Citadel running around talking.
They made trophies easier in it too, because for that game you used to have to get 75. In all those now it's 25.
Yeah, now it's 25.
It's pretty easy.
And when it's easy too when you can make the other people do it.
Yeah, you couldn't do that in the original.
No. So
originally, you had to make three different versions.
Well, you could like kind of make a soldier and kind of spec out where you could have one of each thing.
Yeah,
but it was still a pain in the ass. But yeah, man, like this game's so good. I remember it takes me back to the first time I played it.
Yeah,
and just being absolutely blown away by the game because I was working at Game Crazy at the time. I think I've told you this before too. And that was the first time I ever did a sneaky and took a game home before it was released.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I did that a couple times because fuck them. Who's going to catch me?
Who's going to know?
Yeah, who's going to know? I just took my Xbox offline. Yeah. And I took it over to a buddy's house and we, the three of us, we played Mass Effect 1. Like I played and we were all just like watching me play it. We played that for till 4 a.m.
Yeah.
Because I was so hooked on that game. It was nothing. There was nothing like it at the time.
I had the opposite experience with that game where I did not like it when it came out, and I shelved it for a year and a half because the reason was because I was coming off of Knights of the Old Republic, and so for me it was like, oh, this isn't Star Wars. It's very much more Star Trek than Star Wars.
Yeah. But I think it's a better version of what Knights of the Old Republic tried to be.
I do now, but at the time it was just like there was other stuff that came out in that fall that I was playing, and I was just like, I'm not having a good time with this. I'll come back. And I didn't touch it for a year and a half until they started ramping up hype for the second one. Yeah. And then I was like, okay, I should probably go back and give it another shot. And that's why I really just played through it 4 or 5 times in a row.
And you know me, I'm not a Star Wars guy, but I tried to play KOTOR and I was like, this game I thought that game sucked. Like it just doesn't control well. Like
it's a little weird.
It has a lot of problems. And especially now, I think its age is terrible.
Yeah.
But I tried to give all of those kind of games a chance. Remember Alpha Protocol? I tried. It's not good.
I've never tried Alpha Protocol.
Oh, it's not good. It's
I
not
have it
terrible,
on Steam, but I have never played it.
You should maybe give it a shot just because it's kind of fun to play through because of how fucking dumb it is.
I have heard
it tries to be serious and it's the complete opposite. There was that other game that was on Xbox exclusive. You remember Advent Rising?
I have
the first
I've
of
never
a
played it,
planned
though.
trilogy,
Yeah.
and that game bombed so fucking hard that they only ever made that first one. But yeah, but Mass Effect, I just remember getting it and like making a character, and like your character's in the cutscene and they talk.
Like,
Because
pretty
most of those games,
revolutionary
they
at
don't
the time.
talk.
Yeah.
And like to have the whole full game be voice acted, even when you're running around, was crazy.
Really cool.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to playing through that, and then I'll probably take a break and then play 2, and then take a break and play 3.
Yeah, like I find that's the
too
way
much in a
to
row.
do it.
Yeah.
I mean, I have done runs where I've done all 3 in a row, but I'm at the point now where, like I said, I played through all 3 because whenever I'm gonna do it's never just you play the first one. You're gonna do a run of all 3 at some point,
right?
I at this point now I found it easier to just I can put one down, come back to it really easily. So like I will go back to 3 when there's another lull.
Well, it helps. It helps too when you've played the game before. Like even though I haven't played it in a long time, I remember things about it. So especially with like all this other stuff coming, this is going to be the kind of game where like this is the game I played by myself, and then I'll have my sports game. I'll have the co-op games I'm playing and whatever.
Well, I've done it now too, where it's like the next time I decide, hey, I want to do a run of it, I will go back to the Xbox version where all I have left are the Insanity runs, and I'll do that. Then I'll go back to this version and I'll do that whenever.
I was like, should I just load up Insanity? And I was like, you know what? I haven't played this game in a decade. I'm not loading.
And that's why I did that too. I'm like, I don't feel like doing that right now because it does require, especially the first one, it can get kind of hairy.
Yeah, for sure.
The Insanity mode. So
so there's that, and then the last thing I've played, and this is we'll call this the punishment game. I've decided I'm determined to platinum Injustice 2. I like platinuming fighting games. You know that about me. Like I've done.
How hard is it to platinum Injustice 2?
So let me break this out for you. There's
it's like MK9, right? Okay.
No. The MK9 were just required time.
Yeah.
Right, that required you had to master characters, and that just required time.
One of the requirements is to play 24 hours of matches per each. I did it for one character.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. So. Well, let me break down Injustice 2 for you. There's one trophy that will prevent most people from finishing this. Okay. So in the game, there are a lot of trophies where it's like, and even like some of the DLC trophies are like, the Atom has to defeat a character using this move. That's like the finishing move. It's a common thing, right? Except for one of them. One of them is Catwoman has to use the ability Catcall to defeat Cheetah. Not a big deal. You feel like you could just do that, right?
Sure.
But what if I told you don't have that ability to start? And what if I told you that the only way to get that ability is by opening mother boxes?
Oh, geez.
What if I told you you're not likely to get an ability when you open a mother box? Oh, and that mother box has to be minimum gold these days because it's been patched. Everything about this game is like multiplayer, like loot box system has been patched to fuck. Like every guide you find for Catcall is outdated by years.
Oh, I'm sure.
So there's one kind of like way I can do it, and I can almost guarantee myself to do it.
Okay.
However, this takes fucking forever.
Okay.
And here's what I mean by forever. So there's multiverses, like with the planets where it's like the towers from MK, right?
Mm-hmm.
In a patch, they introduce legendary multiverses, which like specific to each character. It's like if you use Superman all the time, here's a Superman planet, which when you beat it, you'll get Superman gear, you'll get Superman abilities. So I have to do the Catwoman one. To unlock the towers in the Catwoman one, the requirements are batshit fucking insane. And I'm talking like 200 wins as Catwoman. Okay, fine.
Jeez.
Okay, fine. That's doable. 150 scene transitions as Catwoman. Fine, that's doable.
Doable.
Finish matches with Pounce 100 times. It's all doable. Except one of them is play 5,000 minutes with Catwoman.
Oh Lord.
Think about how long of a time that is for how long a match lasts.
Because it's match time.
Yes, it's match time. It's not like just have her selected. It's actually like playtime with Catwoman. Another one of them is like spend 1,000 credits. So you have to earn a lot of money. One of them is donate 250 pieces of rare or better Catwoman gear specifically. I have grinded for the last week. Do you know how many of those I have? 40. That's with an augment I have on her that drops gear more often. The requirements for this thing are insane.
Did you platinum the first one?
No, the first one I gave up because you had to do all of those Star Labs missions, like 3 stars.
Okay.
And that is, I would argue that is more like almost impossible
compared to this.
This one is RNG.
Yeah.
Because the whole reason you do the Legendary Multiverse is the last tower on that planet guarantees an ability drop. So you're forced to get a Catwoman ability.
Okay.
But there are 9 of them, and I have 4. So at worst, I have to do this 5 fucking times. And that means I have to spend 50,000 guild credits each time I do this, which means I had to join a guild that was at least somewhat active, which, spoiler alert, there aren't many of those, and do work in there to get money to be able to do this. The only saving grace for this entire process, there's one thing that makes it doable.
Okay.
Is you don't have to fight. The game has a thing where you can set up to make the AI do it. So I made an AI. I make an AI loadout. I load up the endless tower, and I just push X every 2 minutes.
Okay.
So while I'm doing something else, I can have that just on. And the AI is good enough to win in the endless tower up to about 30 matches or so, which gets me money and time and a bit. But it's just like whoever came up with this is fucked in the head. Like it's rude because
it was Ed Boon.
Well,
it probably wasn't Ed Boon.
No, I doubt it was him.
It was probably somebody else there.
The loot box commission at that company.
Yeah, at that point.
I have set it out to myself to do this. This on PSN profiles where rarity is not the same as PlayStation rarity because it's based off of how many people on there have done it.
Sure.
This is a 1% trophy. On PSN profiles, that number is very low.
Yeah.
Even like hard to do stuff on there is like 6 or 7.
Okay.
This is 1.
If
I can do this, it's a hell of a job. But that's going to be my every so often I turn it on and let it run itself and see what happens. Game. Did
you ever do the PS2 to PS4 Bully Platinum?
No.
You should do that. It's on sale right now.
Okay.
That's something you should keep. Like if you ever have a hankering to play Bully again,
that
version of that game is easier to platinum than the 360 is to 1000 because it's missing that extra mode that they put in the Scholarship Edition.
Oh, right. Okay.
So it's a little bit easier. Yeah. But there's
just something like I like fighting game trophies. Like I told you, I have DOA 5 and 6 and Tekken 7, 8, and I think I did 6, and I've done whatever. I'm gonna do that Virtual Fighter game when it comes out. Like I like doing fighting game ones, but like this one, it's just always been on my list because I have the game. I have the game like 82% done.
Okay.
This is the last one that's a challenge. The rest of it is just play online, which I don't care if I win, so I just joined and let them beat me, and I don't fucking give a shit.
Oh, so it's not even like you have to win a.
You have to win 10 times. 10 ranked matches, and that's about it. The rest of it's just like play 200. Fine. X. And then just join it. So yeah, that's my goal now. It's gonna take me forever, but it'll be fucking cool when I get it.
Would you say you think like that's got to be the next thing that they announce would be Injustice?
I was talking to a friend about it yesterday. I doubt it.
You don't think so?
I don't think there's a place this game can go that goes beyond this.
Okay.
Because if you think about like what this game became towards the end, it is full of characters. Everybody you could think of is there. And like there's probably, I could cram 10 more Batman villains in it if I really fucking wanted to.
Oh yeah.
But it's full. It's done. It's over.
Yeah.
I would assume that they're more in let's make another Mortal Kombat mode, which I hope for that, and I don't, because MK1 and looking back on it more and more, it's not good.
It was
a step backwards.
Yeah, from 11, it was a step backwards.
You and I, we talked about it. Like, I like the story. I like the end of that story very good, and it does a lot of fun stuff.
It does a lot of fun stuff. The game looked incredible, but
they don't do anything with the fun stuff at the end.
And they took out the crypt. So
they took out the crypt and gave me a shit board game, which is a nightmare.
Forever damns that game.
So I'm guessing MK2 or MK Generations or MK Multiverse, whatever the fuck they call it.
You think they got to be because that movie's this fall, right? The sequel movie.
You want to do something with it, and
within that time
one is done. They put out the DLC. It's over.
Yeah. I'd be down for.
I would have to see more about it, and I probably wouldn't buy it day one.
No.
Probably this time now.
Yeah, I
Probably
got
wait.
burned on this one. I'm not doing it again.
Yeah.
But yeah, all right. So that's it for me. Just a bunch of random stuff while I wait for new stuff.
Yeah.
About you,
Well, it's
Matt?
funny that you guys are talking about Mass Effect 1 because I did buy that Legendary Edition when I saw it at
When it was the $10?
Walmart. Yeah, it was $10.
Okay.
And I played it for a little while. I
Sure.
could not get into it. Like
Okay.
it fell off my radar. I know a lot of people that talk very positive about those games, but like yeah, and now that I got you guys talking about it, part of me is like maybe I should go back and try it out again.
You definitely how far did you get? Did you get to the Citadel? Do you know
I
what
believe so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Citadel's like the like space area.
You finish the first
yeah.
like prologue mission and kind of understand the game, and then you're let out into that.
Yeah.
Once you get off, and I would say that game specifically doesn't really take off until you get out of the Citadel. Because then you get the choice of like, okay, what one of these missions, even though there's one you probably should do first. There's one that I always do first because you get a specific character first, but you have the option of like, what planet do I want to go explore?
Yeah.
You can explore
once
other
it becomes
ones
about
too.
exploring, the game
It gets a lot
opens.
more fun.
It changes.
Yeah.
Like, it's fun. You're driving around looking for resources and doing dumb little quests and stuff, and like that. I think if you get there and you really embrace that, you'll find what you
really
like
get
about
into it. Yeah.
Gotcha. All right. Well, maybe I'll give it a shot again since I bought that thing for $10
Really,
and I know it has
really
all of them on there.
well-written story and characters and stuff too.
Yeah, so. And it's the kind of game where like a lot of games where you get like 6 characters in your party and you're like, I fucking hate everybody except these 2. No, I love everybody in Mass Effect. They all have a purpose. They're all good.
I was gonna say Mass Effect Andromeda.
Well,
like
except for Caden. Caden always dies in Mass Effect. Sorry, bro.
I am actually on a run where he is alive.
Wow.
And
the
I
multiverse.
let Ashley die. Yeah. So,
look at you.
Yeah.
Weird run.
I played some more Dying Light too.
Okay.
The game I did get into this week was a Sniper Elite Resistance.
Yeah, you and I talked about it because I had asked you because I knew it was on Game Pass now, and I talked about how pretty negatively on the last one just because that series I feel like has gotten away from the sniper aspect and more into you're now a stealth dude running around disarming bombs and stuff, and I'm pretty sure you said this one is more of that, and that's not. And I'm not into that. So.
I guess that's why I'm digging it right now because I am into that kind of thing. So it's been fun for me. I am on probably I believe the 3rd or 4th part right now, but the story behind it is you're essentially, helping the French defeat the Germans in World War II. That's
you
where
play
you're
as
at.
a different guy in this one than the other ones, right? Like,
yeah,
I think
believe
it's
so.
a different character. Okay.
Yeah. The bullet time, like the shots that you get to pull off, they're so fantastic. I shot a dude's dick off the other day. It was impressive.
It's so well done.
Yeah, it is. It's very well done.
That is the best part of those games.
I will say though, I feel like the AI in this one is a hair more difficult than the last one. So they're a lot more challenging, and why I say the stealth has become like more in this one is because literally if you get seen and like they alert, that alert feels like it never goes away.
Okay.
Like
yeah.
In the first mission, I accidentally got a little overzealous and I thought I could pull off a shot that I could not pull off.
Okay.
Alerted the whole board and it was red for like 15 minutes. Like I could not get away from anybody. Anytime I moved, they saw me, and I had to find like another hiding spot to go to. It was a battle, but I mean, I'm enjoying it so far. I really don't think you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, and see, that's a buddy of mine and we've played through every one of those. This is the only one we haven't done, and it was just for whatever reason it was by the time we got to 5. I don't know if it's just like that aspect of it. I feel was ramped up even more than in past.
Yeah.
Because like the fun of that series for me is playing through it cooperatively and like pulling off the stuff where it's like you're in a position where you kind of still have to keep your stealth, but you'll snipe like a noise making thing, like something that makes noise, and then you take your shots while that thing's making noise to keep yourself. Like anything that's part of the sniping, I'm into. But it's when they started turning into like, well, now we want you to go plant this bomb and do this and that. I'm like, that my dude is not this. This is called Sniper Elite for a reason.
Yeah,
Like, I just here to snipe dudes. So
yeah,
have
that's
you
kind of how I
done
felt.
the? I would assume this has a kill Hitler mission.
Uh,
They all do. So
yeah, I'm pretty sure this one does too. I'm just running through the campaign real fast.
I'd be curious
I was
what
like,
the new location for you to kill Hitler is.
I'll definitely let you know when I get to that point.
Because those are always very well done.
But yeah, those are the only two things I really got into this week. And I will say, so I was online last week and I saw that they dropped the TMNT Mutants Unleashed. You could play like the trial version of that.
Yeah.
That's a horrible game. Like completely fucking garbage.
What is it like?
So you don't get to pick your turtles. That's the downfall.
Okay.
It's the whole point.
Right? That's what I thought too. So like me and my oldest son downloaded it. My youngest son he was like in the other room. And me and my oldest son loaded it up because we wanted to see what it was about. And you literally load into the game and they just pick your turtles for you. The only time
is it a demo thing maybe?
Is it a trial thing or is it the game?
So it was like you could play up to, I think it was like an hour and a half of the actual game.
Sure.
But you would still think even in the trial, you could maybe not pick all the turtles, maybe just like limit yourself. No, like this goes right into the game where you automatically, they just give you 2 turtles. So it's like Leo and Raph, or it's Mikey or Donnie. And like, so what happened is when we loaded in, we are Leo and Raph, and we both kind of looked at each other, and like I went through the start menu again to see if maybe I could pick the people.
Okay.
Couldn't do that. So then I loaded back into the game again, and then we flip-flopped to Donnie and Mikey.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, so this is that kind of game where it's just going to load you in when whatever rotation you're in, which is like, okay. Shitty. I was like, you know what? Whatever. It's not a big deal. I'm not worried about it. That's fine. As I just want to play see with this. Like, number one, the loading screens take for fucking ever, dude. They're like a minute and a half to 2 minutes of just literally sitting there staring at the screen. My oldest son was like, Dad, I don't want to play this anymore. These screens are taking way too long. And I was like, dude, I fully support you. Not a problem at all. And so he stopped playing with me. And then my youngest started playing with me. And he got like frustrated because we were literally sitting at a loading screen forever. And I watched more loading screens than I actually played the video game, which is fucking wild.
That's
because
crazy.
The gameplay itself is like very minuscule and mundane. Like it's literally not even worth it.
What is it like? Is it like Shredder's Revenge but just worse?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like Shredder, I still religiously play Shredder's Revenge every once in a while.
It's still a great game.
It's a great game. Yeah. This one is no. I maybe played 15-20 minutes of. Let me rephrase that. I watched 15-20 minutes of loading screen, and I deleted it because I was like, I'm not getting wrapped into this, man. There's no way I'm getting into it. The bosses, like all of the villains are the same, to the point where they're not even fun to fight. And it's like it's trying, it's kind of like picking up where the movie left off.
Sure.
And it's cool because you kind of get to see where they were going with it, but it's really definitely not worth the buy. And the crazy thing is, I'm glad I didn't buy it because I saw it at like Walmart for like $20. And I was like, I want to get all the turtle games. I just want to have them in the collection.
So I'm surprised that you didn't just grab it.
Something told me not to, and that's the only reason I stopped.
Your inner voice said, "Don't do this one."
Yeah, my inner voice was like, "Dude," it was like, "Dude, don't do it." And I was like, "All right, you know what? I won't do it this time." And then I'm so glad I waited because I don't want to spend my money. Like there are bad turtle games.
There are, and those PS2 ones are bad. Yeah,
I'm 99% certain I have some of those in my collection, but I am actively not going to buy this one until like
$10.
It's like. If I find it at a flea market or a yard sale for $1, I'll pick it up.
Hell yeah.
And I'll be content for that. But there's no way possible I'm putting any more money into that one because it's just complete and utter trash. And I like, it's very sad. to see what you could have done with a game like this with those characters after the movie.
Yeah.
And how bad it is. So, don't spend your money on that. And if you did, I apologize.
We just need the Shredder's Revenge people to make another game. That's all we need.
Yeah, just give us another one.
They probably will, because it's the same people that those are the same people that did the Rita's Rewind, right? Power Rangers.
Oh yeah,
I believe so.
So maybe they can do another Turtles
bounce
now.
Back and forth.
There you go.
Yeah.
I mean, for everything I've heard, that Rita's Rewind game is pretty good. So we're waiting for our physical copies.
I'm waiting for our physical
of it,
copy, yeah. And then I'll play the shit out of that game too.
Yeah.
So.
It looks good and probably plays better too. This one is garbage.
I'm sure it plays better.
Garbage.
So, we can kick over to news, though. Not a lot news, but we're actually going to start news with an email that'll fit right into everyone's favorite topic to dump on, which is we had another Sony State of Play.
Woo-hoo.
And well, I'll read the email. So
yeah,
Matt from Augusta, Georgia. Hi guys, how shit was that Sony State of Play? Yet another State of Play that barely skates by, giving us anything first party. A spiritual sequel to Returnal. That was their big one more thing trailer. You got to be kidding me, man. It's 2025 and I feel like we haven't had a great first party title since God of War Ragnarok. Of course, Astrobot is an exception. What is going on over there?
I just want to say, Matt from Augusta, Georgia, that's dope because that's actually where I'm at right now. So that's pretty cool to see that. Yeah.
We told you don't have to send in fake emails to podcasts.
Too late, man. I just wanted to talk about myself. There you go.
There you go. So yeah, we had a Sony State of Play. Was it on? It wasn't on Valentine's Day. I think it was the 12th. So it was that Wednesday. We had a Sony State of Play. As is shocking, I would say it was not very good. Like, I think the thing I told you is like, if I were to look at this as just a games showcase, it's whatever. It's fine. But as something that is a Sony branded showcase, it's pretty poor.
It's just another one of those things where you watch the whole thing, you go, a couple of those things looked interesting, and then you go, "What? Who cares?" Like,
yeah, like for me, it was like, what was the big thing here?
Can't they? And even like Microsoft, why can these two companies not get game reveals right anymore? They just can't.
They can't. I think part of it is it takes too long to make shit now. So
that's definitely a piece of it, but
that's part of it.
We have forgotten how to build hype for stuff, and we've
forgotten.
The thing
was like the one thing that I was looking forward to here would have been Death Stranding 2, but that's going to have its own event on March 9th, so that wasn't even here.
Right, but we go through this cycle every couple months where it's like another State of Play, another wow, okay, fine, but Nintendo Directs are bangers.
Yeah,
every fucking one of them. Like, and it's like, here's some here. Well, one. I think part of that is they've learned that we're not going to show stuff unless it's going to be released in the next like 4 months. Nintendo.
Yeah,
they're like, fuck
get
it.
An occasional like this might be a year out.
We will reveal something and it will be out in 3 months.
Yeah.
Hey, we're making Donkey Kong again. It comes out in 2 months. You're like, oh shit. But Sony, it's like, well, maybe we might think about making another God of War in a couple years. Wow.
Here's this crazy Zelda game where you're actually going to play as Zelda, and it's out in 3 months.
Yeah, and it's good.
Yeah,
exactly.
I need to finish that game. It's good.
But we'll run down some of the stuff. It's not going to be in order. We'll run down some of the stuff. Obviously, we kind of mentioned it earlier. Borderlands 4 was here. It has a release date of September 23rd. Not as surprising. That's typically when those games release.
No.
I would say now that I've seen more gameplay of the game, it still doesn't look great.
It looks exactly the fucking same. And here's the thing that I don't think anybody expected or frankly needs. It's getting its own State of Play.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Why? Are there people in 2025 that are that invested in the Borderlands franchise?
No, like, not anymore. It has to
not
be
anymore. I think the movie told us that.
Right. It's a franchise that shouldn't be as dead as it is, but it is. It's because, again, playing 3 and with 4 coming, it refuses to innovate. It only wants to be, look at all these fucking guns. And yeah, man, that's cool to a certain point. But even after a while, I find myself using the same 3 guns in this game for the past 20 levels. You don't drop. It doesn't, like, the drops in the game are never satisfying, ever.
Yeah.
I'm level 35. Now, granted, it's my first playthrough, and to get anything good in the game, they want you to play it through it 3 fucking times. I should be finding stuff every fucking mission or every one of these secret drops I open should have a guaranteed legendary in it.
Something, yeah.
But everything I find is green or blue, and it's not worth any money, so it's not even worth to pick it up to sell it. Yeah. You're not even incentivizing me to pick stuff up to sell. Your loot system is broken. My friends and I were talking about it. Destiny at least had a point where you would pick everything up because there was a purpose. You could dismantle stuff. You can decrypt stuff. It still felt like it was a looter shooter that felt like I need to pick up everything.
Yeah.
Borderlands is the exact opposite.
Yeah.
What Borderlands needs to do? I should be able to break the guns I have into parts.
It's weird
and upgrade
that
my fucking
we haven't
guns.
done it yet.
Yeah.
Are you kidding?
So
like
weird.
the game screams for that. I'm carrying around a level 10 gun that still works. Imagine if I could break down everything and level it up.
Right.
And the damage would go up. You get to keep the gun you like. What a fucking novel concept.
I'd like to say maybe that's something they're doing in 4, but I know it's not.
It's too smart.
Not at all.
It can't be what they're doing.
It can't be.
It's what the game needs. It can't be what they're doing.
But hey, it's out September 23rd, and you will be able to speak on it later this year because I know you're going to play it.
Because I have 2 idiot friends who play it with me, and we love this awful shit.
There was the octopus puzzle platformer, Darwin's Paradox. Whatever. This I thought was at least a cool crossover. Dave the Diver's getting another DLC, but it's with Ichiban from Yakuza, which is pretty cool.
Fucking yeah.
That's a cool crossover. We finally announced the most needless remaster of these Sony remasters.
This blew my mind.
I don't know why it blew your mind because it's been rumored for a long time. I know that,
but like I never thought it. I didn't think it would happen because of all of the shit that guy's been going on
around the game because they refused to make a sequel.
They wouldn't make a sequel. Blah blah blah, and then they fucking have the balls to remaster this game.
Yeah,
put in a new mode. It's like all this other shit. And then, did you watch any of the comparison videos?
Yeah, it doesn't look any different.
It looks the fucking same.
As somebody who recently, because I played this game about 2 years ago on the PS5, where it runs great, 60 frame game.
It's one of those games
where they did those updates with Last of Us and the original Horizon before they did that remaster. Like, I know why Sony's doing it because it's cheap, and it gives them more money. It's easy to do.
Yeah.
But it's just unnecessary. You can get it as a $10 upgrade if you already own it, but it is important to know if you have it through Plus, you cannot.
Right, and that includes the ones that they gave away for free when you think in your thing.
I'm not gonna play it again. So
it's a game I've never played, and it's always been kind of like, hey, maybe I will.
It's very good.
I think I have that free version of it. Maybe I'll just do that at some point.
I will say, as someone who gave that game shit for a long time. And unnecessarily gave that game shit for a long time. When I finally sat down, I was like, I'm going to give it a shot and just see. I was surprised that coming out of the other end of it, how much I would put it high on the list of best exclusives for PS4.
And I think when you told me that, I was like, man, I probably should.
It really has a good story. So
maybe it'll look good on the PS5 Pro.
And it even ends in a way where, I'd love a sequel to that game because what they were setting up was very interesting. But it's not going to happen. So, one of the we'll put this in as a banner announcement more for you, but I think the game looks cool.
Yeah.
Digimon, a new Digimon game, Time Stranger. This game looks rad as hell.
Digimon story games are fun, man.
It looks interesting.
They're at their core, they're just dungeon crawler RPG monster catcher games. That's all they are. And if you go play the first one, it's because it was a Vita game, and it's clearly a fucking Vita game that was put on PS4 at some point.
Mm-hmm.
But the stories are fun. It's very fan servicey. If you like Digimon, you'll like it. This is an interesting thing I thought about when I was talking to a friend about this coming out too, because this was a surprise. I didn't think we were getting another one. Because Survive, while I love it, didn't do very well. But
that game did not sell very well. No, that was also different.
But remember how I told you, Survive is very dark.
That game's
in certain
really
playthroughs,
dark.
Kids die. It's crazy. And my friend and I were comparing Pokemon and Digimon, and it's kind of he came up with a good point where Digimon as a series has grown with its audience. You watched it as a kid and it was fun and lighthearted and it was a little serious, but it was a cartoon. But
yeah.
it aged up with you. Like I went and saw that movie a couple years ago where it was fucking body horror at one point. Like Pokemon won't even touch that stuff.
No.
But Digimon is right there with you with like.
I think Pokemon won't touch it simply because it's Nintendo.
Right. Well, and it's meant to keep getting the young kids in. But Digimon, I don't think they're going for new audiences anymore. I think they're trying to hit people my age who watched it as a kid and still love the characters that we know from before.
Yeah,
so,
that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think that's why I've always kind of liked Digimon more than Pokemon, just because it feels like there's stakes in the story.
This game looks rad, though.
It does. It looks really good. I'm excited. I would love a proper World game again, like Digimon World 5, because Next Order, the last one we got, was kind of shitty.
Right.
Yeah. But if we could, or you know what? Fuck it, remaster Digimon World 3, and now we're fucking talking. That's a game. If we can remaster Suikoden, we can remaster Digimon World 3.
Sure. We got the release date for the next Dark Picture game. It's called Directive 8020. I think this looks cool, even though it's literally just the Thing in space.
Yeah, and it's
like that was my big complaint.
I'm like, so it's a thing.
It's just the thing, but in a space station instead of on Earth.
It's cool.
It's coming out in October, so it's October 2nd. Perfect time for this game to come out. I will play this. I don't know if I'll play it right away. It depends on. I don't know if it's going to be a full price game or not, but it looks cool. That was my one gripe with it. I'm like, this kind of just seems like it's the Thing, but okay.
Yeah, especially it's a mimic, and then they were showing like the other person. I'm like, it's the Thing.
We had our weird PSVR to PS5 game, Dreams of Another. I don't really have much to say about it. It just looks like another experimental.
It's just another one of those
people will play type game.
It's probably cool for what it is, but not important.
The highest watch trailer from this showcase was the new Five Nights at Freddy's game, Secret of the Mimic.
I can believe that.
Looks cool though. Like it looks fucking terrifying. For
Keep
a kids series.
Keep bumping them out.
Well, it makes sense. And that game has a date. I think it's in June 13th.
Yeah, June 13th.
But that movie's out at the end of this year, the sequel. So,
that makes sense.
One of the other games I think that looks pretty cool, but I actually found out today it is not a PlayStation exclusive game. It will also be on Xbox. Is Hell Is Us.
That game looks cool.
That game looks cool, but I did not know. I just assumed that game was a PlayStation exclusive game. It is not. It is on everything. So, but that game looks cool as hell. It's out September 4th. In a really weird churn of events, because I think it's too far past the release of the game to put DLC out. Lies of P. It's getting a DLC.
Yeah, it's weird. Like
a little weird.
You can't save it for like the sequel you're probably making.
It's a prequel to the game too. And it does require you to have the original game, so it's not a standalone thing.
I also told my buddy I was upset it's not called Truths of P.
They talked about the Like a Dragon pirate Yakuza in Hawaii. That's out today, so there's not really much to say there. That game's out now.
For that game were pretty much exactly what I thought. Where they're just
exactly what I expected.
Another fucking weird Yakuza side game, and the sailing and pirate ship stuff is
and
good.
shockingly a very good pirate game from what I've read. So we need that.
When you're going up against Skull and Bones, you can't lose.
You can't.
Yikes.
The one that I've been telling you about here, because the pre-order, apparently the physical pre-order is kind of weird for this game. They're only gonna, from my understanding, they're only gonna do one printing of it, physically, which is Lost Soul aside. This is a game that's been in development for PlayStation for 11 years.
Oh shit! I don't know if that means anything.
It looks cool as hell though.
Yeah, but that's not a good thing.
No, I'm not saying that's a good thing, but it's also like pretty much a one guy thing until a certain point. So
I reserved it based on your word, and now
you're like, no, watch the trailer again. The trailer's good. But that game looks cool as hell. So that's out May 30th. This one, they did this weird thing in the State of Play where it was like, it had this, they had something revealed, and then it was like, maybe this is going to be their one last thing, but then they shat out 4 trailers and then had their one last moment. This was one of those trailers for a game called Metal Eden. It was kind of like, I honestly, when it started, I thought it was Marathon. Like straight up, I was like, okay, we're talking about Marathon.
No, I didn't think about that.
It's just a.
To me, Marathon seems in trouble. We'll say.
I would think so too. But I will also say, not the worst looking thing at the State of Play, but We got our release date trailer, even though it leaked a while ago. The release date, which for Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater, which is August 28th. I really look forward to playing Snake Eater again. So
I told you I've never played it.
Weird. You should play it.
I think
it's a great place to start.
I think this is going to be my in.
Okay, it's a good place to start because it technically would be the beginning of that story.
That's one of my gaming sins. Is I've never really played a Metal Gear game except for the first one.
The first
on PlayStation 1.
I think that was the best one for me.
I played it with a buddy. I didn't have a PS1. So he did, and we would just hang out and play Metal Gear 1.
I would say it's a shame you haven't played more of those because that would be a very good long conversation for a side quest episode. What is the best Metal Gear Solid game?
Shit, dude.
Because
Can there be
one? That's a hard question to answer.
Well, once they remake them all for PS5, I bet.
There you go. This is a game that I think looks bad. I don't know what your opinion of it is, but we'll talk about it. It's called Mind's Eye. It looks bad.
Couldn't understand what I was watching for a little while, and then I just thought I was texting I was texting our friend about it, and we were like, "Wow, dude, the era of 2004 PS2 cover shooters is back."
That's what it seems like.
What it looks. You know what I kept
looks
thinking
like the Getaway.
I told my buddy, is this Kill Switch 2?
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Remember Kill Switch? It was awesome at the time.
Oh yeah.
But this is that game, and it's been 20 fucking years.
Yeah, I was gonna say they show shots of this dude driving around this town, but it's like there's no population, there's nobody on the streets. It just looks empty.
Weird.
It looks unfinished. Like I had
that was a big. I walked out of that big feeling about the state of play. I think was like, is it 2002 again for a lot of this stuff?
They talked about Monster Hunter Wilds. That's out next week.
It still looks good.
I don't have much more to say.
Yeah.
So I really thought that this might be when they would talk about a new Resident Evil, but instead they doubled down on Onimusha. So we got more of Onimusha Way of the Sword, which continues to look great, but that's 2026.
That game looks amazing.
Yeah. And then they actually dated the Onimusha 2 remaster, which is out May 23rd.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Hey, at least we're getting more samurai games.
They updated some stuff that's coming to like the higher tiers of PlayStation Plus. I'm not going to go through those because that's whatever. I'm going to leave the big last reveal for last.
Yeah.
I will say the one thing that this thing started with that I thought looked pretty cool was the Shinobi reboot thing here. Shinobi Art of Vengeance.
The art style is incredible.
It looks really good. That has a date of August 29th.
Made by the guys who made Streets of Rage 4, which is very good.
Yeah.
I'm very into Sonic Racing Cross Worlds whenever it does come out.
Super fun too.
I'm all in on that. Split Fiction, you and I are in on that. I don't need any more to sell me on that game.
Yeah, stop.
I will say, I will put out there because they just put this out today. I don't know if you saw this or you know this, but the pass that you get works crossplay.
Oh, that's
for the first time. So it does not matter what system you play on.
That's very cool.
That's pretty cool.
What a world we live in where there's a developer that makes a game that's co-op only, but gives away a copy
by EA
for free.
Let's put that out there.
On any platform, and it's incredibly successful.
Yeah.
Wow, who would have thought?
That guy's been doing that for a decade now.
All of his games are good.
Yeah. To a degree, but yeah.
Yeah, but they're all good. I loved. We played A Way Out. I loved that game until the very end.
It was kind of a silly,
of dumb because you were like, it shouldn't lead to this, but there should have been a way out of that. Get it? But
get it? Yeah. There wasn't.
But there wasn't. But so that was kind of a bummer. But everything we did up until that point, like hanging out, playing baseball, like you know what I mean? Like it was just a cool game to play.
Yeah.
And so I'm very excited for this one because it's just gonna be more of that stuff, but it looks weirder.
I will be obligated to try this beta, so I will. I still am not feeling great about this, but Splitgate 2 is out. Beta's out next week, I think, on PlayStation.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna try it because Splitgate was my 2021 game of the year.
It was a solid game, man.
It was a solid game, but like I don't like that they're really pushing the esports side of things for this sequel. And that's what turns me off on it. I like the original because it had more of like a Halo feel to it. Mm-hmm. This is more like, hey, we're in this esports arena. I don't care about that stuff. So, there's going to be a new Stellar Blade team up with what is Goddess of Victory, Nikki? Is that like a anime or something? Like I don't follow anime. So.
You know what it sounds like to me is like a fucking
I see that shit
a
for
game
everything
you play on
now,
your
though.
phone.
Okay, that could be.
I bet you that's what it is.
There's gonna be new outfits for Stellar Blade. This stop motion looking game called The Midnight Walk has a release date May 8th. One. The game looks okay. Yeah,
it reminds me a lot of Little Nightmares.
Yeah, kind of.
I was a big fan of that one.
The thing that for me that I would have picked here is my game of the show to be excited about was this Tides of Annihilation.
It looks cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And it's out later this year. So I thought this looked awesome, and this is the kind of thing that it could take off. So I love the trailer. I thought the characters look cool. I'm into that. This Warriors Abyss game, it's out now already. That was their like Shadow Drop game.
That's for me.
It's like a twist on Dynasty Warriors, but it's more of like a roguelike.
Yeah, it looks fun. Yeah. It's $25. I wishlisted it. I'm okay. Fingers crossed that somebody makes a physical copy of it. I'd love a physical copy, but I love all those stupid Warriors games.
What can you tell me about WWE 2K25 The Island?
Oh, you want to go to Epstein's?
Do you want to go to the Island? Yeah, there you go.
I don't know what the fuck this is. Like,
it's a hub. You hanging out.
Here's what it is. If you've ever played the basketball game, they have the same thing where it's like city, and you kind of roam around. The whole point is to dress up and hang out with your bros and stuff. The problem I don't think that they realize is that part is not fun. So this has to have something to do in it, or
I mean, it's not gonna be like a lobby for like Splatoon where people draw goofy pictures.
Oh, and you get banned
or say sad things. Okay.
I don't know. Like it's one of those things where I feel like they're like, hey, the basketball game's really popular. Maybe we can do this.
It seems like what they're going for.
Yeah, it would be fun if it would be because in the basketball game you can just kind of start playing against people and stuff. It would be cool if this. I would assume that those people like get into a ring with somebody and wrestle and fuck around, but who knows how much Like I said, I just finished 2K24. Overall, the game is pretty fucking boring. I don't think you would out on an island with 50 people is what's gonna fix it.
What's gonna sell it?
Especially if characters still look weird. Like I want that to be fixed first, please.
Before I go to the island.
Yeah.
And then our final, one last thing, big reveal here was like mentioned in the email, a spiritual sequel to Returnal called Saros. It's a trailer that pretty much showed nothing. I like Returnal. Like I didn't dislike the game. It's a game I should probably finish. I liked what it's going for, but I also understood at the time it came out exactly what it was, and I understand why people would not like that game. So, because it is a very unforgiving roguelike type game. But I thought that game was cool, and I will check out Saros. But I agree with the email, like to make that your one last thing, a spiritual sequel to Returnal,
to do
not
that,
the best,
and to show nothing, and
it shows nothing.
It's just like, man, is this all we can do now? Is this it?
Yeah.
So it makes it. You know what else I thought about too is like I was thinking about like older State of Plays, and it's like, hey, where are some of these games? Where's Pragmata?
That actually was indefinitely delayed at some point.
Where's Abandoned?
Well, no, it was abandoned.
Well, it was never real.
It was never real. Yeah.
But like maybe that's why they're a little gun shy about some of this stuff. But they went hard on the early ones, and it's like a lot of that stuff disappeared. Where's Fair Games? Where's all this other?
I read the other day, Fair Games is now a 2026 game.
You know what I mean, though. Like that was the banger lead of the last.
That was
the last main show.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
And maybe it doesn't in its
I think their games
anymore.
As a service push doesn't exist anymore after Concord. So I think they are kind of quietly exiting those types of games.
I just, and then, after the State of Play was over, you and I reread Push Square a lot. They put out some kind of opinion piece where it's like, people need to stop being disappointed in State of Plays.
The only thing, I thought that opinion piece was stupid, but the one thing that I will agree with them on that is people need to stop expecting a Bloodborne remake or remaster or whatever. They're not going to do it.
No, and and if they do, and maybe they will at some point when
Sony's hear your prayers and they are ignoring them.
When the well runs dry, and we get Bloodborne remake and we get Mother 3 at the same time from Nintendo.
There you go.
I don't know, like. It's just going to be such a surprise you'll actually give a shit. But to watch this one and the last like 3 of these and to think you're going to get some ult like saving
banger
grace
after banger after banger.
They just don't exist anymore.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
That's not how Sony talks about these games anymore.
No. But yeah, it was a state of play, is what I would tell you. Like, more or less. I think I gave it a D plus being a Sony showcase, but a C for a game showcase.
Yeah.
Because again, the other thing I have to point out is like not a lot of exclusive Sony stuff here. So a lot of these games, like even that Tides of Annihilation or whatever, that's a Xbox game as well.
Well,
so,
and in a world where Xbox games are coming to PlayStation,
makes sense.
But in a world where you're gaining another company's exclusives, you don't even have your own.
Yeah.
There might be more previously Microsoft exclusive games on your system by the end of this year.
That was the thing I read the other day that I laughed at. Mm-hmm.
That's fucking crazy.
It's crazy.
There's gonna be more. There might be more Microsoft games on Nintendo Switch 2 than there will be PlayStation games on PlayStation by the end of this year.
Think about that.
Think about that. That makes no sense at all.
That's wild.
Yeah, so I don't know. It was a bummer of a state. It was just a whatever state of play.
It's the kind of thing where I remembered it was on, turned it on, watched it, and went, yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
It could have been an email.
It could have. Could have been a press release. Elden Ring Night Rain has a release date of May 30th now. They just had a beta. So I think more people have discovered what that game actually is. I've seen mixed things on it. Some people are really digging what it is. I have seen other people are like, oh, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. So maybe that beta will help weed some of that out. But May 30th is when it comes out. Like I said, it's a game where like I think it's a cool idea. I'm not going to play it because as you and I have talked about, you have to have a team of 3.
Right.
I don't know 3 people that are, going to commit to that. So Sony is making an effort to go after some of the eSlop titles on the store, which I would say it's about time. You and I talk about it weekly.
They're going to make
just the
dent.
amount of just
they're going to make a
trash.
dent, forget about it, and it's going to blow up again.
That's what
it doesn't matter.
It is. There's so much just garbage
every
on the PlayStation
damn
store.
day. It's just full of AI clones.
It is. How many? What was on there that's not even on PC yet? We were talking about it. It's one of those simulator games.
I don't. There's so.
It's not the mall one.
There was a pharmacy one I told you about.
There was a pharmacy one
where
the
only picture is an AI generated background, and there's no like actual pictures.
That's terrifying.
That's even worse than some of these other ones.
Yeah. Final Fantasy IX and Tactics remakes are rumored yet again. I think at this point, like, let's just announce one of them.
Yeah, pick one.
My question is, like Tactics, I envision would probably just be a remaster of what that game looks like already.
You're not going to
maybe a little bit
Tactics.
Yeah. Whereas, like, what do you think they do with 9? I don't think you're going to go to a 7 level for anything else.
It would never be on that scale again.
No.
For any game they choose to try to do that with, will never be anywhere close.
Mm-mm.
I think it would be maybe 9 remade in 7's engine, but it would be one game.
Yeah.
They would not.
They couldn't.
Even as someone who loves 9, it's not worthy enough of being stretched along 3 games. But
yeah.
You could make it look like 7 does, and I would like that.
You could for sure.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting.
Let's talk about one of the hot button topics of the week, which is, again, more layoffs in the industry, which keeps happening. But this one specifically is for Marvel Rivals, which they laid off the entire Seattle design team, which, again, and NetEase has told fans not to worry about the game. Obviously, the game is with NetEase. It's a Chinese-based company. All it is that, and this is the thing that I've seen so many of the games journalists losing their minds.
There's a lot of like
it's another
going around about it.
There's a lot of misinformation about it, but also at the same time, it's another like they cannot understand why this happened, and like the answer is right in front of you. Like this is a free-to-play game where most of the development is done now.
Right
now, it's just spitting out characters and microtransactions and balancing. That can all be done in the Chinese part of the branch.
Right.
So,
did you see that thing today where that game was almost canceled because it was a Marvel game?
Oh no, I didn't.
They apparently there was some stuff going around about it where they didn't want to, or NetEase didn't want to do it because it was licensed, because I feel like they thought maybe like there'd be more pressure about that kind of something or something. But I mean, I think honestly, the only reason that game came out and destroyed everything is because it's Marvel.
I agree with that, though. Yeah,
it needed to be Marvel.
I mean, look at it. What if it was like a new thing, like Concord?
Yeah,
that's why I would point to it being a Marvel thing. But this idea, like that is when I point and look at it. Like the answer's in front of you. There's a reason why they laid these people off. All the stuff is done. They don't have another project lined up for these people.
No,
it's not like
they're going to trim it.
This isn't like a Bethesda or something like that. So, like, it's unfortunate, but that's just the nature of the business in that case. So, more onto a more fun thing, which I'm very excited about. It really seems like on March 4th, we're going to get the announcement of what I would assume would be Tony Hawk's Pro Skater Remastered 3 and 4.
I told you the numbers.
It's on,
man. It's all the numbers.
3, 4.
3, 4.
But they've teased it in Call of Duty after we've had like some other scuttle going around. Again,
I love that
Easter
egg in Call of Duty. Like, that's such
awesome.
A fun thing to do. Like, game companies don't care enough about
not really anymore
having fun with like talking about game releases and stuff, or making a big deal out of things that you already know what it is, and we're going to make it a surprise.
My argument for this, though, like, and a lot of the rumors are pointing to like it's going to be a shadow drop during the Xbox thing. I don't think so.
No,
I think
not.
They want this to be a game that they're selling, and I think it's going to be September.
I would hope so.
So that's my guess. But like, I mean, as much as like, I would love to see a remaster of Thug 1 and 2. I don't think it's very obvious. This is 3 and 4. They're playing with those numbers. And it's time. Yeah. And it probably took this long. It's like 3 and 4 are substantially bigger games than
4
especially.
4 especially. The whole thing.
So I'm excited. 3-4 is when we'll get that reveal. And I mean, even Tony Hawk himself has been out there like in the past where he's like kind of leaked this a while ago that there was another remaster in the works.
And there was another thing like last week where a skateboarder who's in the game like kind of
just like, oh yeah, that's not out yet.
Yeah,
like kind of comment.
Oh, I'm
like,
in that
weird.
Game. Whoops.
Yeah. So I'm super excited I'm ready for that. So it makes me want to boot up the other. As we talk about Lost Soul aside again. Lost Soul Aside is the latest Sony PC port to be blocked in 130 countries over the PSN integration. And people are pissed once again.
Why is this still a thing, man?
I don't know why Sony keeps pushing on it. I really don't. They just keep pushing on this, and I don't understand why they can't just let that go. But yeah, it's still going on. I'm sure it'll go like all the other ones where they'll eventually relent. So, and the last thing that I put in here, because I saw it earlier in the week and I purposely did not put it in the news because I want to say that it started on like a reset era forum or something, which I don't take any of that stuff at face value. But for some reason, every news outlet is running. I think I even saw an IGN article about it today or yesterday.
Oh, geez.
That the next Rocksteady Batman game is likely Batman Beyond and that it's going to be a PlayStation exclusive. I don't think that it will be I don't think anybody's doing exclusives of games that big anymore.
No,
I really don't. Could it be a Batman Beyond game? I guess, but I feel like they were going to do that a while ago and then didn't.
I feel like it makes sense just because I feel like if we just go back to, quote unquote regular Batman, it's like then we got to live up to the last like 3 games we made. I mean,
from my understanding, they just kind of did that with that VR game, and it's the dude that voiced him in Arkham Origins.
Right, but like, aren't we just retreading it again?
Yeah,
and then if we're doing that, then why isn't it just a fucking sequel? And if we're doing that, then like it's like shit, dude. Try to find something else to do.
I mean, and again, I would be all aboard for a Batman Beyond game. So I think that would be awesome. But
this reminds me of something. I don't remember the specifics, so I'm going to get it wrong. But I'm going to give you the gist of it. Apparently, there was a time where the Gotham Knights people wanted to make a 2, and they basically told them like, no, you're not making a 2. And then instead of that, they wanted to remaster Gotham Knights. Think about that sentence. They wanted to remaster an existing game.
That's not even that old. It's like 2 years,
and it's not good. So why would that even come up?
That's
you want to remake this same game that you just
came out
made
2 years ago? Yeah,
what?
Oof.
Wild.
No
my
thanks.
friend told me that, and he was the guy I played through it with, and I was just like, I can't even imagine what that would be.
Do you think that conversation was just like the JJ Jameson gif of him laughing?
Yeah.
Like, you serious?
Just, like what the fuck are you talking about?
That's insane.
Ugh.
I don't know. Like I would love a Batman Beyond. I think this is a really cool universe that should be explored more because that cartoon was awesome. But I don't know. We'll see. So that, like I said, a light news week. Like not really much after that state of play. So I think a lot of stuff right now is also announcements that are being kind of hidden for the Switch 2 stuff, like games and stuff. I think there's a lot of stuff that's probably on ice until that showcase. So I think that's why it's kind of slow right now for news. We'll do our inaugural, since we're going to start doing this, game recommendation of the week. I saw you guys put stuff in here. So my first one's pretty, for this I just picked because I'm playing it this week, but Avowed, if you have Game Pass, which is the way I would highly recommend playing it, because if you want to go out and buy a physical copy of the game, it should be noted that there is no physical copy of it. It's just a digital code. But I think it's pretty cool. And like I said earlier, if you're a fan of the Outer Worlds, or if you're a fan of like Skyrim or Oblivion, it just seems like that type of game, but a lot tighter of an experience. So, and the writing's it's an Obsidian game, so the writing's very good. But that is and it's on PC, it's on Xbox, and like I said, I'm sure in like 3-4 months it'll probably be on PS5. So, you got to pick, Dan. You got a hot pick.
Well, it's one of those things where I wanted to pick something that's a little bit older, so maybe not everybody's played it, but this was probably my favorite game of the Xbox One, just in general. I've talked about it before. Sunset Overdrive is like probably one of my favorite games ever. Everything about that game is just fun to play. Like, it controls so well. It does take a lot of getting used to. Like, I'm not going to sugarcoat that. Like,
for sure,
the movement and everything that game is different than most any other game you've ever played. It's got a very like Jet Set Radio feel to it.
Yes,
but it's still more about like flow and movement and being able to shoot when you move and all that. Like, you're doing a lot of things at once in that game. But
you are.
I absolutely love that game. It's so fun. It's like colorful. It's funny. The music, the soundtrack is great. You remember that one song is like a fucking banger. The game,
it's on Game Pass.
It's on Game Pass. It does not take itself seriously. You can buy it on Steam.
No.
It's like $20.
It's a very good PC port of that game too.
It's just an incredibly fun game. And there's some multiplayer aspects to it which you could ignore. Because I guarantee no one's playing it anymore. But
if the servers are still
still up. But it's just like it's fun open world traversal that.
And considering Insomniac is the Spider-Man studio now, you probably never see a sequel to it.
No, you'll never get a sequel to that, which is a bummer. I would kill to get like a PS5 release of that, or like a remaster.
I'd say you're more inclined now, but I don't think they're going to go back that far.
Days Gone can get one. This can get one.
Right.
So yeah, I would say definitely, if you have not played it, give it a shot. It's like Kyle said, it's on Game Pass. It's on Steam. Watch
it's
videos.
Always
of it.
on sale under $10.
Always on sale. It's just fun. It's just a really fun game.
It's a solid title. We're picking out recommendations. I just said Pikmin 3. I mean, I really, they did the deluxe is on Switch. I don't know, man. I think it's a solid title to kind of jump in if you've never played those games. I became a fan of Pikmin 1 when I first played it on GameCube, but I liked all 4 of them. And, with my youngest getting into them too, he's been a big fan of 3 and 4, and I'm probably going to try to find the Switch versions of 1 and 2. But I really feel like Pikmin 3 is a solid title to jump into if you're just wanting to play, because it's not super big, it's nothing super serious. You're just kind of like, learning more of like teamwork with your people and how they like operate with each other as far as the Pikmin goes, because each one of them does something different and can do something different.
Yeah.
And not only that, but they each battle the boss in different ways. So like it's really beneficial to know how to utilize them when you're battling bosses or anybody as far as it comes. But I think, yeah, I mean, give it a shot. I think it was on sale. I want to say like 2 weeks ago.
There was a big sale going on where like a lot of the Nintendo first party stuff was at $40.
Yeah, so
that's usually their sale price,
and you're probably gonna find it.
It's only about as low as they ever go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Nintendo knows they hold value.
Oh yeah, for sure. So give it a shot if you want to. I mean,
so four was Switch first.
Yes.
What was 3 originally? Was that a
Wii U?
Wii U. Okay.
Yeah, I believe
2 was
so.
Wii.
2,
no, GameCube.
GameCube. Yeah.
So 1 and 2 were GameCube. They just skipped the Wii and went to the Wii.
They did those like re-releases for Wii for 1 and 2.
Okay.
They did that with like Mario Tennis and something.
But you can get all 4 of them. Like all 4 of them are available on the Switch.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
1 and 2 is a package.
It's a double pack, and then 3 and 4
and then
separate.
3 and 4 are separate. And 3 is the deluxe. I don't think you can find the normal version of it unless you're doing the Wii U version, because Pikmin 3, the deluxe, is the only one they have, and that has everything to it. So I mean, at $40, yeah, it's a little pricey, but I think it's fun.
Yeah. How about we get into some GameStop stuff? So we have. Which one do you want to talk about first? Because we do have
yours first.
Okay. I mean, there's not much to say. Our Bud, the CEO, Chewy, had kind of an unhinged tweet this last week where he wants to sell. As he's known to do, where he wants to sell the foreign like Canada and
France
branches of GameStop.
Which is
had some
games in Micronesia, I think. Is the other
we'll say it had some colorful ways of putting it on Twitter.
Would
be the nice way to say it. But it just comes off as a real unhinged thing where, like, you and I agree, like he's just trying to burn everything.
He's
down.
trying to be Elon Musk. Is what he's trying to do.
Yeah.
But then he doesn't realize he owns a failing video game company and stock in like Bed Bath & Beyond, which doesn't exist, or whatever the fuck else he owns now. Who knows? But that's what he's trying to do. And at the same time, he's figuring out ways to gut this company so that his golden parachute gets inflated, so that when he finally jumps, he's fine.
Yeah.
You think he cares about this place at all? He does not care.
He doesn't fucking care about it.
No.
Look how long it took him to finally just be the CEO.
Well, to just beat around the fucking bush and get people fired.
Finally, like, I'm just going to do it myself.
Right.
Jesus.
But let's talk about what I would say. This is a hot rumor. That confirmed information, but I would say into that we'll lead it into a rumor.
Yeah,
but,
it's confirmed information, and you can choose to do with it what you will.
But I would say, if you're looking at when you want to think the Switch 2 comes out, GameStop's, and we have information, we have sources. GameStop.
Well,
you do.
Well,
still,
someone has to.
GameStop's hardware plan for June 2025 is extremely high.
And I was told that it is comparative to like November of last year. Which is holidays.
The only reason you would think something like that would be is if there was a new console coming out.
Right.
So it would be very easy to put 2 and 2 together and probably suggest that the Switch 2 is out in June.
Yes.
Would be my assumption.
Well, we've got a direct in April. They release those directs very close in time period to when
2
they release
seems like the right amount of time.
I think the Switch was like December and March, I want to say.
It was October and January.
Was it October? No, I'm saying when they released the direct and then the console.
So what they did for the original Switch, they did that October, like everybody's hanging out on the rooftop having a good time.
Right.
And then they did a big showcase in January.
Right.
Which was the deep dive. Like, here's what it is. Here's 1-2 Switch, all that stuff. And that's where they announced, hey, it's out March 3rd or whatever it was.
If you go off of that kind of timeline, we don't need to do the hanging out on a rooftop version of that this time, because you know what it is. But we are going to do the deep dive in games and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So if you put 2 and 2 together, it certainly seems like June is when it would come out, and that makes a lot of sense.
I don't know, but
But
it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So, and I would, and again, could we be wrong? Absolutely.
Sure.
But I would say if GameStop is planning for that,
I would tell
2025,
I would tell you,
GameStop is planning high amounts of
GameStop
hardware sales.
knows when the system is coming out.
Absolutely.
You know why? They know about all of it. They have to know.
They have to.
Yeah.
I always go back to that. When's the Wii U coming out? At that product conference thing? That guy fucking told everybody. GameStop was pissed because GameStop knew, and now it's going to be GameStop's fault that this information
dropped it like 6 times, and then
he just kept
like somebody leaked
it.
Yeah.
Well, and then it was. I told you it was on Kotaku like 45 minutes, and we were just like, oh shit. But GameStop was pissed because they obviously already knew because we're ordering. This guy is here to sell us his product and tell us what product we're carrying. We know when we're getting it. So now, but now that it's going to be leaked, GameStop's at the center of it being leaked. So that's why the company was pissed.
Oh, for sure.
So yeah, GameStop knows when it's coming. Unless the new Xbox Shadow drops in June. Not that would affect hardware sales because nobody's buying those right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say that's a safe assumption, and to get ready to spend at this point, I think I'm with you now, where I'm thinking at least 4.
I think it's 4.
I think it's 4.
Yeah. So I'm still on the fence. I'm still going to stay on the board at 400.
I think it's 4, no game, because it plays Switch games, so they won't give you a game. And
do you think all the Switch 2 games are $70?
Most will be because it's Switch tax, and Nintendo tax. So yeah, you're paying.
It's cartridge tax.
You already paid $10 more than you should.
Yes.
And Nintendo's just gonna say, sorry, bro, Zelda's 70, Mario's 70, Mario Kart 9, $70. Because you know why? Because it could be a fucking 100 and it would sell. It doesn't matter.
Oh, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it would.
Doesn't matter. But yeah, no, my money, I would say it's out in June.
Yeah,
so
it sounds right to me.
We can kick over to what I would say is a for me at least disappointing movie section of things. I have not watched anything just because we've had illness in my house. The only thing that I have watched, and I don't think I've talked about it on the show, but you and I talked about. I had watched a YouTube video a little bit ago that was going through like forgotten horror shows of like the 90s.
Yeah,
they're just kind of lost to time, and some of them are like, "Hey, these only came out in DVD in Canada or something."
Yeah,
like
you
that.
and I talk about this shit all the time because we love.
So I was able to locate and acquire 2 of these shows, which I'm watching one of them right now, which is Poltergeist: The Legacy, which much like the Friday the 13th TV show, it has nothing to do with Poltergeist at all. They just use the name to draw people in. I would say the real title of this show is The Legacy, because that's what it's all about. But they deal with spooky and supernatural stuff. Each episode, it's an anthology. It's not an it is and it isn't. It's more of like a Monster of the Week type show. Where each week they're kind of dealing with a different situation. Sometimes they lean into horror. Sometimes it leans into more science fiction. Where like, oh, they found this weird loop in this forest that takes them back to the 1800s, and they have to figure out like, how do we close this loop without this person dying in it, kind of a thing. They'll have episodes like that, or they'll have it like one of the episodes I watched, which probably one of my favorite ones I've seen so far, is like a woman that was in an apartment complex that burned down and was rebuilt, but her ghost is now haunting it. And so people will see this ghost, and this team of people, part of this thing called The Legacy, what they'll do is they're trying to like help these situations or correct them.
Sure.
So like if it's a ghost, they're trying to send the ghost out in a good way. If it's a time loop thing that needs to be shut, they're going to try and shut it. Very interesting show. I'm almost done with the first season. There's 4 seasons. The other one I got, which I have not watched yet, it is a show that I saw the intro for it probably all the time as a kid, because it would come on after whatever cartoons I was watching at the time. Is a show called Forever Night, which I don't know if you ever heard of it.
I do not remember that at all.
I don't remember that one.
I remember a lot of weird fucking TV, and that is not one.
It was a Canadian, I think it was on UPN.
Okay.
Here. It was a Canadian-American show that stars a vampire who is a detective in modern days named Nick Knight.
Of course. Nick at Night.
It was a pretty cool, interesting show. But I never watched it as a kid. But I saw the fucking intro like every week, and that's when I was like, okay, no more cartoons are gonna come on, so I would shut it off. But I never actually watched shows as a kid. So now I'm interested in it. So I have that too. But I have not watched any movies. I told you before, like I got to a point where I was like, I'll buy the 4K at Nosferatu. We're so close to it, and then my copy of it got delayed. So I've not watched that yet. I just got, and I've had like 3 people now have already watched it and told me it's good, but I have not watched yet. Companion. So I need to watch that. That's on my list to probably watch this weekend. I'll probably dig into that. The only other thing I've seen is I've seen some hot trailers this week. I sent the one to you, Matt, because I hit on it much, which is the trailer for the new movie from the people that made Talk to Me called Bring Her Back, which is probably just Pet Sematary is what I think it is. It seems like they're bringing a dead girl back to life. It has that vibe. It looks very creepy. Super into that. It's out in May. I did watch the one you mentioned to me earlier about the clown in the cornfield. I'm actually super into that. Like that looks.
Isn't it weird?
It's weird. I'll tell you what sold me on that movie. At the very last scene of that trailer, there's like 3 girls in a line, and like the first girl puts her hand over the one girl's mouth. Second one does the same thing. When they get done to the last one, it's the fucking clown putting his hand over this chick's mouth, and then he kind of looks at her and pulls up his little axe or whatever. That was like, all right, you got me.
That's what got me too, because I was like, all in all, I was watching it and I was like, all right, this is it. And then I saw that last scene and I was like,
yeah,
I
like
okay,
that. And then so the name of the clown is Friendo. And I like the scene at the very end of the trailer where they showed some old dude and he's just like, nobody fucks with Friendo. And I was like, all right, I'm into this. Like, this seems dumb.
But like his hands remind me of like the killer clowns from outer space. Like the outfits themselves kind of looks like it.
It's not like Terrifier. I'd say he goes more of like a mime route. This definitely reminds me more of like Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Yeah, for sure. And that's why I was like, I'm down for this ride.
I told you about it earlier. I did not know this until I was scrolling through YouTube, and my girlfriend, like I said, she's been sick, but she pointed it out and she's like, "Is that a Popeye horror movie trailer?"
Oh, I've seen that.
What I did not know is that there's not one but 2 of those movies coming out by completely different studios.
He hit public domain, like that Mickey
Mouse
there's one, the Winnie the Pooh
Popeye
one,
and then the other one's called Shiver Me Timbers.
Yeah, I saw that one.
They both look bad.
It looks fucking awful.
Like just like really low budget trash.
It's like isn't that one like a meteor or something hits him or some shit?
That was Shiver Me Timbers.
Shiver Me Timbers.
It deals with like a meteor or something. So was not into it.
I love how fast these things get like pumped out. And
well, like when did he hit? It was like January, and it's just like, all right, it's February. We fucking made this movie in 2 weeks.
They're on some website seeing what's coming up, and they're frantically writing like, what would Popeye do if he's going to kill me?
I'll give credit to like the Winnie the Pooh stuff. Is like at least those dudes are trying to take everything and make a stupid universe.
They're making an awful universe out of it, which is great.
And like I'm into that. We're like, hey, we got Bambi. We have like all of that makes more sense. And it seems like they're going to lead it into a movie that has everything, like an Avengers type thing. So that's
fun. The second Winnie the Pooh movie was fire.
Yeah,
compared to the first one.
I haven't
so good.
I have not watched it yet. So, but I would say for me that trailer of the week was that Bring Her Back. I really dug that, and I love. If you have not seen Talk to Me, I love that movie. You should watch that.
I know
it is a tight 90-minute like. It's not. I'd even like you could even handle it, Dan. There's only one scene of like gore, and you know when it's coming, but it is really graphic. So I'd say just don't watch that one scene.
No, I read it. I told you, like good. When there's a horror movie coming out, because I can't stand some of that stuff. But I'm interested. It sucks because I'm so interested in like the concept of these things, but I cannot watch them. I just read them.
Well, yeah, like you're really in like I will watch when it's up. The Monkey. I'm really excited to see that.
God, yeah, that's exciting.
It looks awesome. And I had an opportunity last week to go see it early, but it was our blizzard /
freezing day,
deep freeze day, and I was like, no, I'm not gonna go venture out into that cold. So I'm just gonna wait. It'll be up in 2. Everything's up in 2 weeks. Yeah, it's like the time frame now. So nothing does. So, but that does it for me. Like I said, I'll have more stuff to talk about next week because I have stuff piled up that I need to get to. So I'll kick over to you, Dan.
The only thing I really watched in the entire thing was I finished my Mission Impossible rewatch to get ready for the Final Reckoning. Dead Reckoning is a phenomenal movie. Like, I talked about it when I talked about like the fact that I've watched the last 6 before that. Like, it's just a series that somehow just keeps building, and like the stakes are higher and everything is more intense, and like this movie just fucking is next level compared to even Fallout was.
I thought Fallout was a little bit edged it a little bit.
Watching this again, I like it better, knowing that there's like 3 more hours to go. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
So yeah, it's just it's such a wild like building and like, you know, they bring back the Ilsa character, but then they have the new character, and then like one of them has to die, and like the way everything's playing out is like you're not sure how they're gonna get out of this kind of thing. And man, the stunts of this thing, we talked about it before, but like him jumping off that fucking cliff is crazy. The train stuff at the end is crazy. Yeah. It's just so.
You see what they show in the trailer for the new one where he's on the plane? Like that looks even like somehow that looks even more ridiculous. He's
turning upside down on this fucking thing.
It's I'm just like awesome. How at he's over 60. He's awesome. Hating off this fucking plane. Like
just, I read a story about it too, where he was like, I have to do it myself. I'm gonna have to learn how to do it myself. And you're like, dude, you do not have to. We can do this in a studio with the plane where we just turn it around. No.
Okay. Gotta do it for real.
Yeah, it's just I'm excited.
Is that Memorial Day weekend?
Yeah, I think so. I'm gonna be out of town, so I'm not gonna be able to see it right away. We might have to, you can go, but
no, we'll wait.
Yeah, I'll be back that week. I'm only going after the weekend, but I'm very excited for the last part, but I'm also upset that it's over. Like, because there's been a lot of thing about where, well, you know, they could always do another one, and they've pretty blatantly said it's called Final Reckoning for a reason.
Yeah.
So, the only thing I hate is we need to go back and have IMDb rename Dead Reckoning because it all says Part 1 on it still. You need to take that off. We're not going to call it Part 1 and 2.
You can just call it Dead Reckoning, and I think that would be fine.
Well, I mean, it makes sense now. But so, yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, you know, other random shit here and there, but that was the main thing to get ready.
You, Matt?
I watched Companion. Weird.
I want to watch it. I literally just got it today, I think. So, and I haven't had a chance.
It's an interesting movie.
It's got my buddy from The Boys.
Yeah,
can't think of his name.
He's pretty good.
Jack Houston, maybe something like that. I can tell you his name is Huey
Jack
in The
Quaid.
Boys. Jack Quaid. Okay, I got it mixed up. But Jack Houston's a guy that was in Boardwalk Empire. He played the guy with the mask. So I always get those two names mixed up. Jack Quaid,
I will say it was a good movie.
Okay. It's from the people that did Barbarian.
Mm-hmm. So I don't remember watching the trailer to this movie.
I don't know if I ever watched a trailer for it. I think I just read about it.
And I didn't even read anything about it.
Okay.
You had said something about it, and I was like,
I just knew it was from the people that did Barbarian, and I'm like, well, like, I was lukewarm on Barbarian coming off of it, but like, I still see the potential because that was that guy's first movie.
It was
for him to do more
Barbarian
stuff.
Was solid for me. Like the ending was kind of like, okay, but
for me, but
like the overall, like how they got to certain parts, I was like, I didn't see that coming. This one, I will honestly say, since I went in kind of dark and I didn't know anything, was really good. Like,
okay,
I think the girl who plays the main character, Sophie Thatcher, she did very well in her role. You know, the guy who plays or Jack Quaid, he does his role really well. He definitely makes you hate him by the end of the movie. I can definitely say that much.
That's a little different than Huey from The Boys. All right.
But it is a wild ride of how you get to where you get by the end of the movie.
Okay.
I'm trying not to say much because I know you said you're going to watch it.
Yeah, and like I will say, like, well, literally while we were sitting here, like I had my other buddy text me of just like, yeah, that's pretty good. So
yeah,
because he literally just said, watch it.
Yeah, it's a pretty solid one, man. I have to say, on a scale of 1 to 10, I definitely give that one like an 8.5. Going in, like I said, going in dark kind of helped because I really didn't read or see anything on it, so I didn't even know what was really happening. which was actually pretty cool because it's when certain things happen and you don't know they're happening, you're like, oh, well, okay, I see how they got to that point. But yeah, all in all, very solid flick.
You seen that guy's other movie that's coming out where he like can't feel pain?
Yeah,
I can't think of the name. What?
Novocaine.
That actually looks pretty cool.
I'll watch that. That looks cool.
So that looks pretty.
When
good.
he puts his hand in the deep fryer to pull out the gun and shoot that dude in the face, I was like,
I kind of like cringe up at that moment.
Little bit.
Yeah, I was like, you sold me.
Yeah,
reminds me of your buddy, the villain from World Is Not Enough.
Remember? Oh yeah,
he couldn't feel pain either.
Renard.
Yeah. So
yeah.
Oh, should we talk about that? Should we talk about that real quick? Since
you
we're
want,
TV
you want to bring it
let's
down
drop it
again?
in. Yeah, let's make everybody sad.
It's bad.
Oh,
because Bond,
Amazon.
Yeah, the producers of Bond, Barbara Broccoli, they sold it off to Amazon finally for like $1 billion, and we're doomed. It's over.
It's not going to be good now.
I asked you that question earlier today. I said, which of the multiple spin-off Bond series featuring an alternate character set in a time jump are you most excited about?
Moneypenny.
I told you I want a prequel 006 Trevelyan series. How about that? And we get him back and we de-age him.
There you go.
This whole thing's gonna be a shit show. We're gonna get.
It's not gonna be good for anybody.
3 stupid little series about like the other agents who work there, or all this. You know what I mean? And I'm like,
well, and that's what I think that was the big push for, from my understanding, for Barbara Broccoli versus Amazon was Amazon wanted to do all that stuff, and she was like, "No, I just want to make Bond."
The
movies.
whole point was they did not want to tarnish the series, like
the Craig stuff. The only thing they kind of torpedoed that themselves.
But
in the end,
at least that was an ending, and we could do the new Bond because if you go back to his beginning was him becoming Bond. So like we went through the whole process. So I don't think it was a good movie in general because it missed a lot of stuff.
Yes,
but at least it ended and it set up a new thing. But now we're in this shithole part where everybody wants Henry Cavill. Like you and I are on record.
I mean, I
love that man. I will watch him do anything.
Yes, if
he's 42,
I would not be disappointed if they said he is going to be the next Bond. I'd be like, all right,
fine. But he's 42 years old.
42.
I think the smarter option is to get a guy who's like mid-30s, lock him in for 3 movies, and it takes 10 years.
Do you think the Kick-Ass guy is too old too?
Craven?
Aaron Taylor Johnson, because that's the other one I see floating around.
He's younger. He could do it. He's
Daniel
I wouldn't
Radcliffe.
be put down by him.
Daniel
I think
Radcliffe
he'd be fine.
Bond. No, he could make him the new Q, and I'm in. But he could.
Well, I told you I saw somebody else throw out there that was like, "Hey, what about Tom Hardy?" I'm like, he's even older.
No,
like, he'd be a great villain.
He's a villain. Yes. He would be a great villain because he's someone who
phenomenal
could
villain.
match Bond physically.
You could match Bond physically, and you could also put something on his face to block his face for half the movie.
I mean, that's what we do. But it needs to be somebody like mid-30s. He can do 3 movies, maybe a 4th if the story leads you there. But it's not. We're so fucked because it's going to take forever to make these movies, and then it's going to be a Prime exclusive. But then you got to watch his prequel series. But then the prequel series didn't do good, so we're making a different series. But it time jumps 10 years when Bond's a dad and he's teaching his son to be Bond. So you tell
me it's going to be like the Dark Universe where, hey, this is going to kick it up. No, the next one's going to
turn
kick
into
it up.
Lord of the Rings bullshit.
Oh,
man. We're get an Asian one.
Well, see, that's the problem. Like everything that they've touched, like Lord of the Rings, to a lesser extent, Wheel of Time. Because should I go back and watch Wheel of Time? Yes, but as someone who read the first book, like my biggest issue there is those kids are too old.
They're going to find a paragraph Ian Fleming wrote on the back of a napkin somewhere and make it an 8-hour miniseries.
Hey, they did it for that animated.
That's what I'm saying. They're going to do what they can.
Yeah,
I'm happy enough with getting Bond movies every 3-4 years, and I want this damn video game. That's enough Bond content.
Do you think that this purchase affects that game in any way?
God, I hope not. I mean,
because it is literally the rights to the character are now in Amazon's hands.
Well, supposedly they maintained the not control over it, but like they have input into it.
Okay.
So maybe for at least for a little bit, they can't go too fucking crazy. But when Bezos is out here asking people on the internet who they want to be Bond, or it's already
literally tweeted. It was like, who does everybody want to be Bond? And you know what the answer is always going to be. It's going to be Henry Cavill.
Right.
So.
And again, I will watch that and love that. but
I don't think it's the right choice.
But I don't think it's right.
And for his sake, I would rather he gets to make his fucking Warhammer show.
I'd rather he make Warhammer and fucking grill steaks and post pictures of him on the internet.
Yeah.
That's what I want from him.
I'm just hanging out. It's Sunday. I'm making this steak.
I saw those pictures. Like, this is great. He's just fucking hanging out, making some mushrooms. I still like that one. He's like, I'm gonna build this computer. You get to watch me do it. Yeah, I will do that. So I looked it up. Aaron Taylor Johnson is 35.
He'd be fine. Like that's the thing. Like,
do it.
He's of the right age. Where I'm like, okay, and like I can see that guy playing.
The first movie comes out in 2 years. Fine. I told you, Craven's a shit movie. He's not the problem.
No, and like if I go back to the performance that guy did, where it sold me on the idea of him playing Bond, is that Bullet Train movie.
Yeah, there's that.
That's where I looked at. I'm like, okay,
he was the bad guy in that. What's the stuntman movie?
Oh, I didn't watch the Ryan Gosling thing. Yeah.
He's the bad guy in that. He's good in that too.
Hitman?
No.
I think it was just called The Stuntman or something like that, right?
Hit guy, stunt guy, whatever. Who fuck cares? Movie's fine. Forget it.
But he's the bad guy.
He's the bad guy in that, and he was good in that. Like I don't have a problem with him as an actor.
Oh, the Fall Guy.
The Fall Guy. That's
Fall Guy.
Oh yeah, like fuck it, do it. But the thing about Henry Cavill, the only reason I'm concerned about his age is because he's 42 now. If they cast him now,
he'll be 44 when it comes out.
Yeah,
in the earliest.
Yeah, so.
And then it's like, all right, are we really going to let another person play Bond into their late 50s?
We're talking about I'm looking forward to Mission Impossible with a 60-year-old man in the leading role, but
Tom Cruise is also not a normal.
He's not a normal person.
No,
he's a different
Tom Cruise.
Yeah, he's Tom Cruise. He's crazy as fuck, but he's awesome.
Yeah, but he makes great movies.
Yeah.
That's like, I get in an argument all the time with my girlfriend. She's like, I just don't understand. I'm like, he makes fucking great movies. Like, even outside of Mission Impossible, I can look at something else and point to it and be like, okay, there's the Live, Die, Repeat, Edge of Tomorrow movie, great movie. That Oblivion movie, great movie. Like, anything else that he does is good.
Yeah.
Like, I've enjoyed it.
I could care less
all
about
the way back to
as
the 90s.
A person.
Yeah. I'm looking at the actor, not the person.
You have to separate that stuff sometimes.
But yeah, the Bond stuff, I don't really have much faith.
I hope it doesn't affect the game. I think that's the one thing I want to come out of this is please don't, because a
How
Bond.
Have you not seen that?
I don't know, but a Bond game made by the Hitman people, that's all I want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you know how good that game would be.
I don't know how we haven't seen anything on that game in a long time. We've never seen anything on it, to be fair. We just saw a logo.
We know that it exists.
Yeah. But also, like, when did Hitman 3 come out? Was it like 2019?
It's been a while. It's been a while, but then they did do that like World of Assassination where they did all the roguelike stuff. At some point, they
combined it all into one package.
Yeah. Like that company knows what they're doing. And
absolutely.
That's why I am like very stoked on a potential.
But I also wouldn't want a Bond game to be episodic like they were doing.
No, it would have to be like a full release. Mm-hmm. But it could play like Hitman and just be secret agent themed.
I also think for the Bond game, I would want them to just pick an actor to play. I don't think I would want them to be like, we got Daniel Craig, or somebody.
Yeah. No.
Just pick a random dude. Like, and I also hope like hope it's not Troy Baker. Yeah, like this thing, but like he did so good as Harrison Ford, so I don't know.
No, but I would want. You're right. I want it to be its own person.
Yeah,
I don't need you to go get. Like,
we made our own Bond.
Right. Even though Everything or Nothing had like Pierce and Willem Dafoe and it was great.
That was great.
I don't need that for this. I want this to be its own standalone thing so that if we need to update it or change it or re-record or any of this kind of stuff, we can do it on the fly.
Yeah.
And with the way they make games and release content, they need to be able to do that.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Yeah.
Just show me the game.
So the game is Henry Cavill.
Okay. All right. Never mind. Now I'm in.
Now you're in. Now there you go. Because then it doesn't matter.
Then it doesn't matter.
Then you're okay. So, we can go ahead. We can kick over to emails. It kind of wraps up the movie stuff. But yeah, we should have talked about it. So, our first email comes to us from Gary from Lansing, Illinois. On the last episode, Kyle had mentioned that he broke down and bought a PS5 Pro. Any more insight into that system, or are you going to do a video overview of it on your channel at all?
You should.
I will when there's something to talk about. Like, that's the problem. It's like, even if you go and watch someone else's video that they've done that kind of comparison, the stuff that is shown is so negligible. Like you cannot like compare it very well.
We're not there yet.
We're not there. I really think it's a system that released like a year too early. Like it sounds dumb to say that, but
you're right though. It really feels like it's the kind of thing where there hasn't been a PS5 Pro game yet. There have been PS5 games that are enhanced for Pro.
It's sad to me that the most exciting thing for me on that system still is having a physical button on that disk drive. Like that's the one thing I'm like, this is cool. Like I can click this button. Like that's the one thing. It's so stupid.
Button clicks are important on any device.
It's quiet. I'll say that because like I don't know how your PS5 is doing since you still have you don't have a launch one anymore.
I have a new one.
Your drive is probably pretty quiet.
Yeah,
my drive is loud as shit.
Occasionally,
in the regular one.
Occasionally, depending on a game, it will like do that loud like boot up noise.
Mm-hmm.
But once it's done, it's over.
Because that's the other thing, the important thing to note. Like I didn't trade in my regular PS5. I kept it. I use it in my office. Like when you and I are playing Godfall, I'm playing it on that. Like it's because there's no pro patch. But I will say like that's my one complaint with this system is just the disk drive has gotten super loud.
Yeah,
and that is noticeable on this
new
one.
That was the end of mine, man. And then eventually Astrobot killed it. So
yeah. So I'm sure at some point there'll be some new release thing or something that comes out and we'll kill this thing. But I didn't want to give mine up because then I would like I traded in, but then I would have to go and dig out the white fins because I have the black fins.
Metal Gear will fucking melt
Metal Gear
system.
because I will play that on the play. That game supposedly will have a pro patch, so that's the one I'm looking at. That's one of the games I'm looking at where like this could really maybe push things.
That can actually have a difference. Yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe stuff like this Lost Soul aside, and that other, what is it, Hell Is Us. I think those two look like they could potentially be games, but like something like that Digimon game, you can't tell me that's going to be better on Pro.
You don't think Days Gone Remastered is going to look good on the PS5?
No, did you see the comparisons of that thing? Like, the people can't even figure that out. I watched a guy literally, one of the YouTube videos I watched, the guy literally sat there and paused it and then just did this for a couple, like what's the difference between these two? Like, why are we remastering
Remember when they were showing Spider-Man 2 and it's like, I don't see it.
I got nothing.
Remember doing that thing where it's like, I don't see it. Maybe in the distance, I can see a car, like, but it's
well, that's enough. It's like, yeah, we did it for Spider-Man 2. I don't feel like playing through that game again, so
not right now.
I didn't.
Some point
not
I will.
Right now. And it really seems like we're not doing any DLC for that game.
Nope,
so
they've already said no. It's done. Fucking
and
huge
Wolverine,
swing and a miss.
It's probably maybe that game could be farther out than 2026.
I think it might be.
Yeah,
all that shit looked terrible. To be fair,
I didn't put it in the news, but now that Yoshida is out of Sony, he's been making the rounds, doing like a bunch of podcasts and interviews.
He's been talking a whole bunch of shit.
He's been talking shit, which has been great. But even that guy, he straight up said like pretty much that like PS6 is fall 2028. So, and I feel like that guy probably would know that. So
it better be if the Pro just drops.
Yeah, you don't want. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be any early, but that also makes me think like maybe Microsoft isn't going to pull a 2026. So I don't know.
Who knows what their plan is?
Everything.
Where's the handheld? I want the handheld.
As I told my friend the other day, because we were talking about the Pro, I said, the reality of the situation is the Xbox Series X Pro is just the PS5 Pro. So that was the realization I had of like, well, at least I don't have to do this twice this generation. Yeah. Like they're not going to do an Xbox version. So, I don't know. I'd be interested if like maybe later this year, like Avowed comes out on PS5 and it has Pro enhancements. Or like, what are they going to do with Indie? I would assume Indie will probably have Pro enhancements, but
it just got its first like major patch.
Yeah.
Which so spoiler alert, didn't fix all those collectible problems.
That's a bummer.
So my friend was able to go back in and he got 2 of them unlocked, but there's still 2 that are broken.
Fun.
Awesome.
Wild.
But yeah, at some point down the road this year, I will do a video on it, but I am waiting for there to be a reason. Because right now, if I were to do a video, it straight up would just be telling you, don't buy a PS5 Pro right now. Like if you don't have a PS5 and you haven't upgraded from a PS4 yet, then I would like that would be the only situation where I'd be like, well, if you want to future proof yourself, then sure. But if you're somebody that already has a PS5, there's no reason. I can't see any reason. Plus, if you're in our boat, then you have to be a crazy person and get a disk drive and do all. There's a lot of hassle to that. So, but attaching that disk drive wasn't very hard. So there's that at least. So, I'll kick to the next email we have, which so I don't know how much this situation you know or you saw this week, but it involves Greg Miller.
No, I saw enough.
The dice thing. Have you seen the dice thing?
I watched the video.
Okay. Hi, dudes. Between Kyle's recent video on Greg Miller and your seeming disdain for him, I was curious what the rest of you think about his performance, I guess we'll call it, at the DICE 2025 awards. I agree with you guys. He really just seems like a disingenuous paid shill at this point. Yeah, so I saw it blowing up, and I decided to do kind of a reaction video on it because I'm not a big fan of Greg Miller, as you know, but my bigger problem, like, everybody's jumping on one specific thing from that thing. My bigger issue with his whole thing there is just, you look at these things, like, the one I pointed out that is the biggest one to me that is an issue is he goes on a little tangent about how great it is that Indiana Jones is here. How great is the Indiana Jones game? You know, it's one of the best games I played this year. It's a game he gave a 6 out of 10.
Yeah.
And talked a bunch of shit about when it came out.
Yeah.
But it just proves the point. I think he's a paid show.
Do you know why? He's a clown.
He is.
He's up there to dance around for everybody's amusement and make it seem like he's a big fucking deal. He's nobody anymore, man. He just jumps to whoever's cutting the next check. I'll jump there. He begged people on Twitter to vote for Harris. Begged him.
He did, and again, not to get political, but like, I have a problem when it's like, I don't have a problem telling people like, hey, you should go out and vote. You should go out and vote.
Absolutely.
But I would never sit here and say, hey, you should go out and vote for.
I'd never tell you you're wrong for voting for. Like, it's not my business.
Yeah, whatever.
Like,
It's not your. The only business is your own self, like who you're going to vote for. But it's like stuff like that bothers me about him. The other thing there that I thought was stupid was he's in a room with all these people that a lot of the people in that room are responsible for the mass layoffs that have happened this year, and they would crack jokes about it. But then in the same breath, there was a little part of it, and that's where I ended it, because I was like, I can't do this anymore watching this thing. But in the same breath, then it's, well, how great is it that Activision put out this little pack for Call of Duty that they got, what was it, like $2 million to go towards the LA fire stuff? It's like, these are the same people of these companies that are then choosing to fire the people that probably made that pack and put it in that game. So it's just, the whole thing was just a fucking joke to me.
You can't ever tell if he's being serious about what he's talking about.
You can't
ever tell. He sits there in a little EA playroom. Let's take a hot look at Star Wars Battlefront.
And people like, and the thing people are pointing out now is like, this is a guy who basically canceled his best friend at the time for telling a dad joke.
Right.
Because it was a very lame joke.
It was a bad joke.
It was a bad joke, but like, it was very tame compared to today's landscape.
Oh yeah.
Where I feel like it wouldn't be that as big of a deal. Like, I don't think you would be to the point of, hey, I have to leave this company I started because I made this joke, But I mean, and good on Colin Moriarty, because like I said, I don't know if you ever look at the numbers, but like his podcast like group thing makes way more money than Kind of Funny.
Because he's
better. They don't have an expensive studio or anything. They just sit in their houses, man, like we are. So I don't know. Like I said, I'll continue to always. I just find him disingenuous, and
I just don't believe a word he says. Like,
I don't either.
I told you, I checked out on the EA Play thing. I completely checked out.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Games journalist who's willing to take a shitload of money to talk about shitty EA games nobody cared about.
5 to 10 about that, after he has to pretend how excited he is for.
Yeah. Or he has to go out and he has to show the WWE 2K ratings reveal thing to all these wrestlers. Like, who gives a shit about the ratings in WWE? Those numbers don't matter.
Nobody cares. Yeah.
You've played the wrestling games, Matt. Those numbers matter at all? No.
No, I could wrestle with somebody who's a 60 to beat somebody who's a 90.
Anyone with anyone.
Yeah.
It's just like, but he's out here taking this check, making his little WWE shows, and
that's all it is.
Yeah, it's just whatever. Like, fine, man, get your bag, but like, Don't use like public forums to spout your shitty political views.
No, that's the word. Yeah. That to me is the more damning thing because it's like it just
I'm
comes off.
I'm
as
not even
weird.
saying that like I'll be straight up. I didn't vote for Trump, but it doesn't mean I'm going to go out here and fucking blast everything. Like,
well, I think the bigger thing that I have a problem there is like they were basically going as far as to say like, hey, you need to vote a certain way or we don't want you here.
Right? Yeah, and that's the vibe. It's like that's the vibe he gives off. The vibe he gives off is either get on my side or get the fuck out.
And that's not how it used to be. I don't know what changed that.
He's a journalist. We've talked about it before. He's a games journalist. That word means nothing anymore.
There's only like two journalists. There's
4 of those people left. Yeah. And they all don't work for these companies. They do their own shit.
Like that's it. Like when it comes to games journalists, like I hate to say it, but like that is an industry and that's a job where like it has basically been taken over by YouTubers.
Yeah.
And that's fine. They're doing a better job of doing the research and getting, and every once in a while somebody fucks something up and they get something wrong. That just recently happened with one of those people, but they're doing a better job because they're giving it to you straight. They're not putting a spin on it. So
it's not all half political shit like Kotaku is. Everything on that fucking site is a hidden message.
How is it not
strategy guides yet? It's got to be this year. Kotaku would become strategy guides.
How is it not shut down yet?
I don't know.
It's got to be this year, right?
The
SEO money has to be drying up. I was promised
walkthroughs for collectibles and video games,
right?
And I've got none of that.
None of it.
Yeah, I don't have more to say.
I'm over him. Everything he says, I'm over it before it's even finished.
Next email we have comes to us from Stacy from Jupiter, Florida. Hi, 572 guys. Been listening to your podcast for a while now. And a few episodes back, you had helped out with someone else who wrote in asking for recommendations on RPGs to try since they were just starting to get into that type of game. I'm fairly new to gaming, started with the PS4 generation, and I've really found myself enjoying first-person shooters. What would you guys all recommend? For clarity, I've only really dabbled in some Call of Duty campaigns. I tried Killzone Shadowfall, but I'm interested in what else the genre has to offer. What would you guys pick as some of the best of the best? Thanks. So I'll let you go first, Dan. We each have some stuff.
We'll talk about one that we kind of overlap on. But I was trying to think of like different kinds of first-person shooters because that genre has like it's changed quite a bit.
It's pretty wide.
Yeah. Because you'll get your story campaigns, like you'll get your Call of Duty and stuff. So I thought of Wolfenstein when it came to that because Wolfenstein's a very like you're playing through a game and doing levels and stuff, but it's such a like a good like fun. I guess you could say like World War II
fun as you play
World War II like parody kind of a game because it's over the top.
Yes.
Because it's about
2 especially is like gets really wild.
Gets weird, yeah. But they're really fun to play with. They play well. They look. They still look good.
Yes.
They're made by Machine Games, who just made Indiana Jones. Like these guys have a pedigree. They know what they're doing. So I would say Wolfenstein is a very good option. You can get a bundle of like the whole thing. It goes on sale all the time.
It's usually like what, $15-20?
Even I think I would argue like I think you can get like the first 2 for like $5 sometimes.
Okay, that's a good deal.
So there's that. If you want something that's more like campaign stuff but open world-ish, I put Far Cry 4 and 5 in here.
You put
5. I think I would agree 5 is a better game because it's more interesting.
If I'm looking at, because I would argue the best Far Cry is 3, but there's not really a good way to play that on a modern console because that classic version is not good.
No.
That's why I would argue the best one, but I would say after that probably 5.
4 is good too though.
4 is good.
Like the environment.
6 I did not care for.
And 6 I never even bothered. No. 4 I like the environment because there's a lot of vertical stuff in that game. 5 has it too, but
they took a really big swing with the plot, and I feel like it was a really cool idea that they just barely miss on landing that plot. I actually because you and I have been talking about it, but behind the scenes because I want to play New Dawn. I've never played New Dawn.
I haven't either,
and I picked up because right now you can get all of the Far Cry 5 things. So like Far Cry 5, New Dawn, all the DLCs for both for I think $20. And I did that because I actually want to replay Far Cry 5.
Yeah, I bought New Dawn, I think, for like $8.
And those both have 60 frame patch. Ubisoft has actually been pretty good about going back and giving some of their older games 60 frame patches recently. So, because they did it for New Dawn, I think they did for what was the Assassin's Creed game, Syndicate?
Yeah, they went back and did that one.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. I should maybe look at that at some point. So I never played that one. So,
but those are very good.
Really good.
They're very good examples of how a first-person shooter game can be open, like very open and freedom and stuff. But at its core, it's still a first-person shooter. Like,
there's a lot of dumb things that can happen in that world.
Yeah, and that's what's kind of fun about it. Like, weird random events happen all the time, and it can be kind of crazy. But it has incentive for exploration and like hunting and all that kind of stuff. So those games are pretty cool. And then for the hell of it, even though I shit talk the franchise all the time, and I did it earlier today, Borderlands 1 is
I would agree with that, though.
Is a way to enter, like, because you can get the Handsome Collection and it's cheap. Borderlands 1 is the most, like, compact version of what that game series is.
Yeah, Borderlands 1 basically was Diablo with guns.
Yeah, and that's what it was pitched as, that's what it played as, and it is fun. And, like, going through the guns and stuff for like the first time you play through those games is fun to do, because then you kind of find what you like and the elements and stuff you like, and you can level up and you get skills and stuff. But that game is it's a Diablo first person shooter. 2 is still good. Like, you can get away with playing 1 and 2. After that, the series falls apart. But the problem with those games is they again, I said it before, but they thought bigger was better, and it's not. One is a focused experience, which, while being very open, is still very much like, go here, do this, go here, do this, go here, do this.
Yeah.
So those are 3 I picked that I think are a good, like, variety of stuff, and they're all fun to play.
So you went Wolfenstein, I went Doom, 2016 specifically. You can always, much like Wolfenstein, you can get packs on the PlayStation Store or the Xbox Store all the time for those games are on the cheap. And it should be mentioned, like, if you have an Xbox or Game Pass, those games are all on Game Pass, like out the gate. Wolfenstein, the whole thing is on, because they own Bethesda. So all the Doom stuff is there. The new Doom will be on there in May, which I'm really excited for. But Doom 2016 is a phenomenal reboot of that franchise that I still go back and play. I've probably played that campaign probably upwards of 10 times now over the years. So I love that game. But I at this point, I always replay it on PC. But it still plays great on both the other systems. We talked about Far Cry 5. I had that on here. And then, like I said, if you've never played any of the Halos, Halo Master Chief Collection is the greatest way to ever get into that. You have not only the 4 main Halos, but you also have Reach. So you have the prequel, and then you have ODST as well. But those are all, and they're different than, like, looking at like Doom is a very different first-person shooter versus Far Cry is a very different first-person shooter. Borderlands, Halo, in the same sense, is very different.
What I try to do, is pick up. And if
an amazing series.
And if you're a PlayStation person and this Master Chief thing comes to PlayStation, like we all think it will,
phenomenal.
Everyone should buy it. Like, even at $70, that game is such an insane value for what you're gonna get. Like,
I would never get that is a platinum that will never be obtainable.
No, it's not.
But I'm not gonna do the last thing. I refuse to do that.
But and the thing is like, not every Halo game's a 10 out of 10 Halo experience.
No, but I will say, like,
as a package,
it's an incredible value.
Because, like, ODST, weird offshoot game, it's interesting. It's interesting to play through.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that's a 10 out of 10.
No. But it was fun. Like, if you play co-op, it's fun to play co-op.
Yeah.
And then, Reach is a different take on Halo a little bit, and because it's
Reach is a prequel. I think. Well, I would argue that Reach in its own way is its own masterpiece, because it is different, and it was Bungie's last thing before they went.
That's the important thing to note. You're getting all the good Halo games if you buy Master Chief.
Yeah, and then you get 4, which I still will argue that 4 set up what should have been a very good story. Unfortunately, after that, it goes off the rails.
I liked 4 a lot. It was my favorite one.
4 had a tremendous story hook that it just didn't pan out. But I would also say, like, and if you get into those as well, you can skip 5. You can play Infinite. I think Infinite now is a very good game to play. What the future of that franchise is, I don't know. It's doomed, in my opinion. But how about you, Matt?
I agree. I said Halo was a pretty solid mix-up if you're gonna want to play that. I know she said she started with the PS4 generation. Titanfall 2 was a really solid
That's a
title.
great game. Yeah, that's
Phenomenal campaign.
yeah. If you want campaign, Titanfall 2. Don't play Titanfall
It's
1.
fantastic.
You can't.
Yeah, no,
No.
it's all
Can you?
multiplayer.
No.
Yeah.
That can
It's
still
only
work.
on the Xbox. I don't know if the servers are up for Titanfall 1 anymore.
I have no idea.
2 is.
Oh yeah, I mean 2.
People still play 2 online.
God,
so.
man, I mean, we'll never get one now because of Apex, but
I would love a Titanfall
3, shit.
I mean, you never know. I mean, even though Apex is still around, it's not necessarily Titanfall. So it's like,
yeah, but I think the problem is I don't think Titanfall ever made him any money, and I think
it didn't.
And I think Apex does.
That game also unfortunately came out sandwiched between 2 bigger games, and it killed it.
Yeah,
because it was whatever Battlefield that year, and then Call of Duty that year.
Yeah, it got real fucked up.
Yeah, it kind of got. And honestly, I hadn't played it for when it first dropped either. I think I picked it up. I don't even remember where I picked it up, but I picked it up on something. Hell, I might have even gotten out of Redbox. Like, to be honest with you,
the thing about Titanfall 2, especially, like, that game plays incredibly well.
Oh god,
it does.
It feels
so refined to
good.
what it is.
To, like, to run and jump and like it feels good.
Playing something like Splitgate, you can tell they pulled a lot of the movement from Titanfall.
I think that's important. I think that's an important thing. I think it gets overlooked a lot in a lot of games, but a lot of times in like first-person shooters is like how it feels to play. Like Borderlands, like I said, it has a lot of problems, but it feels good.
It feels really good to
shooting
play.
Feels good. Reloading like the game has shooting mechanics down. You know, another game was like that we talked about a little bit before, Destiny. Like
the first one especially.
The shooting in that game, I would argue, is perfect.
I mean, it came from Halo.
Well, but you know what I mean. Though?
Yeah,
like,
it was refined because
perfect.
when Bungie went, and then they were with Activision, they were able to pull in some of the Call of Duty stuff too.
Right.
So they were able to combine those two things in a very good way.
Yeah, Destiny 1
it very much was perfect for those two
and that's
games.
why that game I think that's why that game did well, is because it felt good to play over and over and over again.
I go back, I think that first game was incredible.
It's so good. It's one of the best games of the past.
Unfortunately, the second one it went off the rails. So
yeah, it
was a little weird.
Couldn't live up to what I
would like I said, if they were to announce a Destiny 3, I would jump back in. I would
start over for sure.
So
I'd be down.
So
then I thought of Killing Floor.
Killing Floor 2,
Killing Floor 2 was just a lot
really
of
good.
It still is a lot of fun. Like, if I have a moment or two where I don't want to play anything crazy, but I want to just randomly shoot some things, that's what I go back to. Because I mean, jumping in a game with people, you don't have to talk to anybody, because essentially you're all there for one reason, just to kill everything in its path.
Yeah.
And it's cheap. You can find it everywhere.
That brings up another good one. Like, you can get Back 4 Blood for like $10, and that's like that's a very good version of Left 4 Dead.
It's a very good modern version of Left 4 Dead.
It's hard as shit, but it's good. It's a good game.
I have a physical PS5 copy of that now.
Because it was like $5.
It's always $5. Yeah. So. The other thing I throw out there too is like any of what we call now the boomer shooters. There's a lot between remakes of old shooters from the 90s to like new ones in that vein. Those are all, like, any of those are good. Like, you can go back and play very good versions of the Turok games, for example.
Original Doom.
Those are very fun to play. Original Doom, like they're constantly updating that Doom collection. And that's a fantastic way to play all of that. I mean, that thing's really cool because they've added a lot of like community created maps and stuff too that are really cool. But like stuff like Dusk is a really cool boomer shooter that's on Steam. Steam has if you're on PC, like Steam has a plethora of boomer shooters.
You can't stop.
There's that Warhammer one that's really good. I think that's leaving Game Pass soon.
There was one other game I thought of, and I didn't put on here because I didn't think it was necessarily like a first person shooter, but I'll ask you.
Okay.
BioShock, does that count? It's not really a shooter.
You can put it in first person shooter, but I would classify
Adventure
BioShock.
game?
And are we talking the first one or Infinite?
I'm talking more like the first one.
Okay. I would classify that more as a first person adventure.
Yeah.
That just has shooting.
I was just thinking about
because there's a lot. more to it.
I was just thinking about, because like if you wanted a campaign, that game,
Yeah.
like the atmosphere of that game.
If you want a great story
Yeah.
with atmosphere, either BioShock 1 or Infinite,
Yeah.
like even 2, like I wouldn't play 2
I
first.
love 2. I know people don't, and it's fine.
When
Don't
I
play it
finally
first.
went back and played
Yeah.
2, I enjoyed it, but
Yeah.
don't play it first.
Don't play it first. You can't.
But you can skip and just play Infinite and be fine.
Yeah, you can.
So.
Yeah, that is very true. You don't
Infinite
have to play
is
1 and 2. But-
self-contained story,
and they're very
so.
different. Like they're similar but very different.
I mean, I was reminded the other day, like that Infinite is a game that is 12 years old now, and we haven't had new BioShocks.
Yeah, but
like, it's kind of absurd.
Yeah, but we're getting the off-brand
That
one.
Judas game this year, right?
We're getting the other off-brand run. Remember the one that looks exactly like BioShock Infinite?
Yeah.
Clockwork Revolution or whatever the fuck it was. Or it's like, did they remaster? Oh no, it's a different game.
No.
Have you guys seen this? We were talking about Steam. Have you guys seen the sale on Steam, the buy 20 for 20 bundle from
No.
2K? Holy
No.
Do they
shit.
like let you pick
So-
20 games?
No, they put 20
Wow.
games in this bundle for you,
That's-
but
What
it's,
do you got?
it's the Borderlands Game of the Year.
Okay.
Tales
Problem
from
is, it's gonna be
Borderlands.
stuff I already
It's
have.
gonna be a lot of Borderlands. Yeah.
BioShock Remastered, Duke Nukem Forever,
I have it.
XCOM, Chimera Squad,
Yeah.
I don't know if I have Chimera Squad, but I have the others.
The Darkness 2,
That's a cool game, too.
Godfall, Ultimate Edition,
Both of those games are cool as shit.
Yeah.
Civilization 4, Mafia, Tiny Tina's Assault on Dragon Keep,
That's
Okay.
a good version of Borderlands.
Civilization Beyond Earth.
That one, I remember it. It was a cool idea, but I don't think it hit off for people.
Yeah. They got that guy's Sid Meier's Pirates.
That's a good game.
I like that game a lot.
Sid Meier's Railroad,
I never played
Okay.
that, but I would probably be very interested in that.
Railroad Tycoon 3,
Okay.
The Misadventures of PB Winterbottom,
I've heard of it.
Sid Meier's Ace Patrol, Sid Meier's Starships, Hidden
This,
and
you know
Dangerous.
what won't be on there that's a great game? Civ Revolution.
I love that
Mm.
game. On 360,
I
man.
love that Civ Revolution game. Just
Quick,
That is
such a
just
great game.
wild,
toned down version
though.
of Sid.
Very good
Yeah.
game.
That's
Not a
good
bad
deal.
bundle,
I
though.
would say if you
Yeah.
don't have half of those games, that's a good deal.
Problem is,
It's not
most of those I
bad.
have.
Yeah.
Like,
For $20,
shit,
though?
yeah,
That's just
even
wild.
shit Duke Nukem Forever, I have said.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I own
So.
a physical copy of that, so.
I loaded that up recently just to test it on my Steam Deck,
Ugh, gross.
and it played pretty well.
Gross.
But it's a bad game.
Nice.
I played through that. I've played through Duke Nukem Forever when it came out. It's a
Gross.
terrible fucking game.
Never did.
Yuck.
It was it was not the last game I ever red boxed, but it is one of the last games. The last game I red boxed, you know what it is. It's a game I had reserved and then we decided last minute, I'm like, I probably shouldn't buy this. I should probably rent this.
Don't
And there was no
remember.
Blockbuster or anything at the time. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5.
Oh shit!
Mm.
I got a
I
free.
had to drive to the next town over to go to a Walgreens to rent a copy of that game day one.
Shove it in the garbage, man.
But it was bad. Yeah, Bob shoved it in the garbage. It was trash.
Oof,
So,
that's a real bad game.
but hey, and I was with it until that day because I had it reserved, and I was like, no, I'm gonna do it. And then those reviews hit. I'm like, I'm not.
They
gonna
gave me
do
a
it.
free digital copy of that.
Yeah,
It's bad.
and then at some point, I think we had tried the 360 version because the 360 version doesn't have because the big problem with the
The online
PS4 and Xbox One is you're always connected to the stupid internet.
Yeah.
And the 360 version is not. It's still a bad game because of the
It's just a
ground
bad
slam.
game. That slam thing, fucking A, dude.
It ruined.
Oh
it
my
ruined
God.
It, so
You're
it
so
was sad because when it was
muscle
announced,
memory from every Tony Hawk game in history.
it was sad because when it was announced, it was so exciting. Like we're gonna get a
We're
fifth
getting
Tony
an
Hawk's Pro
actual,
Skater,
like 5.
awesome. And then it became more apparent we just did it to hold the license.
Hell yeah!
So,
When are they remastering that? Is that next year?
do you think like okay? Let's say
Thug
3
is
and 4
next.
comes out, it does well. What do they do at that
Thug.
point? You don't think they would just like let's make a new Tony Hawk
Thug.
game? Okay.
There's more money to be made in off nostalgia for this franchise than to try to make another one.
See, we can get Bam Margera to come back and
That's the
do some voice work.
Problem with it is that game might be.
He's in a good place right now. So
I know, but
like,
that
he
game might be a
could.
nightmare to license.
Yeah, that's.
Um,
You're getting into a weird territory where I feel
to
like
license
it's going to be
people.
harder to license. But remember what they did with how much of the remaster have you played? One and 2?
I played a lot. I need to play more of it.
Because one of the things it did in that game, like it does have a good chunk of the original skaters, but it has a lot of new skaters.
Yeah, and that's okay.
Too.
I'm okay with that.
And that's what they'll probably do.
I'm actually fine with that because
that's fine.
You should update it. That game works updated.
Yeah.
It should have Tony Hawk and it should have Riley as well.
It should have his son. Yeah, excellent.
Absolutely. There's no reason more skaters is better.
Nobody's gonna be upset.
No, I want as many things in here as possible.
Not at all.
I'm here for the levels and to play the game.
I'm here for the levels. I'm here for the soundtrack, and I'm here for
I'm even okay with like updating the soundtrack. Get as many of the old songs as you can, and put
as long as you
can
get the bangers that I want to hear on that soundtrack.
Power Man 5000 is in it.
For 3, it needs to have that CKY song.
Yes. Ace of Spades.
But also, like the thing too now is like it's also we live in a time where it's very easy. Like, okay, let's say they fuck up that soundtrack. It's easy to just overlay Spotify.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And just play your own.
I can just pull up the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 soundtrack on my phone and mute the music on the TV and just play that the whole time.
Because that was the thing I ended up doing for the remaster was I just pulled up Spotify through my system and just muted the music in game because there was a couple songs that weren't couldn't make the cut.
Sure.
And it's like, fuck it. But
that makes sense.
Again, you still kind of want some of those songs there.
You need them.
But yeah, I agree with you. Like, I would love to see remasters. That's where I would stop.
We were talking about it earlier. I think you can get Thug and Thug 2 you can get away with. I think you could get away with American Wasteland. And then it's over. Because that's when the
360 era.
That's when it changed. It became Project 8 and Ride and Skate and Grind.
As someone who played all those 360 ones until the board, that's where I jumped off. They become a blur of the same, like Project 8 and Proving Ground.
Project 8 wanted to be Skate really fucking bad.
Yeah, and they weren't great.
No.
Whereas American Wasteland was a great game.
I told you that the real pro move is we remaster the Game Boy Advance versions.
They should do that as a compilation.
It should be like an unlockable thing. I don't like. It's hard to explain to somebody who's not played it, but Tony Hawk 2 in an isometric view, top down, fucking works.
Really good.
It fucking works.
It works really well.
I don't know how. Mm-hmm. It's an incredible game on Game Boy Advance.
Mm-hmm. Very good.
I would play that at work. I had a job. My very first job.
I think the last year that I was at GameStop before I left, when I brought in the GameCube with the Game Boy player, that was one of the games we would play.
Yeah. My very first job was at like a soccer store and it was dead half the time. So I'd bring my Game Boy Advance, I'd bring Tony Hawk, and I'd bring Golden Sun. And I think I also brought Baseball Advance. That was a great baseball.
There you go.
And I would just hang out and play that while I was waiting for stuff. That'll keep you busy.
That'll keep you busy for sure. Next email we have comes to us from Ben from Fredericksburg, Virginia. It says, hi guys, love the podcast. I have kind of a random question for you all. Lately, I just haven't been able to get in to find a new game that really clicks with me. I've been finding myself going back to older games or games I'm familiar with rather than trying to push myself into something new. I don't know if I've just burned myself out on new releases or what it is, but I just feel like anything new doesn't grab my attention as it once did. The most recent game that I picked up was Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. I absolutely loved the first game when it came out and thought that a sequel would really get me back into things, but I found myself just unable to get into it after 5 hours in. On the flip side of things, over the last weekend, I purchased the Darksiders bundle on PSN that was on sale to replay the first 2 games and perhaps try the third one since I never played it. I've already put 15 hours into the original Darksiders, a game that I originally beat years ago. Is it nostalgia? Is it burnout? I just can't figure out what is going on with me in games. What do you all think?
Here's it. I mean, all three of us, I think, especially like we fully agree.
Burnout, dude.
Yeah,
we're talking about
you can get burned out, but also
we're playing Mass Effect 1 and fucking 2 again.
we just had a long conversation about Mass Effect.
I'm playing Mass Effect 1 again because I really want to play Mass Effect 1 again because right now there is nothing out that I give a shit about.
Yeah.
And I think
we're in a weird rut right now too, though.
Well, here's the thing: AAA games almost don't exist anymore.
No,
they're very few. It used to be all the time. Bangers. Company's got a new game. Everything. Remember, October's, November's, December's would be loaded with stuff. Every other week, you're like, shit. There's another game. Now it's like maybe there's 2 that I care about. All the stuff I have pre-ordered coming up is like Claire Obscure. This is a brand new, not a AAA title. I'm more excited about that. This Lost Soul Aside game you're talking about. I'm more excited about that. That's not a AAA title.
No, I think the game's like 50 or
I don't get excited
60.
for AAA stuff anymore. Because
no, I don't either.
I
as
feel
much.
It sounds shitty, but like AAA stuff feels derivative to me. I feel like you know what you're getting.
Yeah,
It's the next AAA game is God of War again. It's like awesome. I know exactly what it is. Call of Duty, I know exactly what it is. There's nothing surprising about a lot of new games, except for these AA titles or like indie titles and stuff where it's like that looks like it could be something fun.
Yeah,
I had more fun in last month going back and playing the original Red Dead for the first time in 10. What did we determine? It's been 15 years.
It's been a very long time.
It's been 15 years.
Yeah.
I had more fun doing that than some of the more recent like stuff that I've played. Like, I mean, like for me, like, could I go out and buy Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 tomorrow? Sure. Could I go out and buy Monster Hunter Wilds tomorrow? Sure. But for whatever reason, I just don't. I think you and I did the thing last year where it was like, I'm going to wait until Black Friday and pick up a lot of this stuff when it's cheaper and been out for a while. Because the other benefit of doing that too is stuff that comes. A lot of these things come out broken,
right,
and need to be patched. And so by the time you wait for that, it's a better experience.
I think the other thing about like AAA games is I feel like you're either in on it or you're not before it's even announced. Like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, I'm in immediately. Whatever the next one is, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like the videos they show me, you don't have to show me a single fucking thing about the next Final Fantasy VII game.
Like for me, that was the like Doom the Dark Ages.
Right.
Like, I'm there day one.
You know it exists. You're done.
I know it exists. Like if it wasn't on Game Pass and it was a game I had to buy, I would buy it.
Right.
So, whereas like I would say this week, like Avowed is a surprise. Like I went into that game kind of expecting it to be a bummer just because of the discourse around it. And I was like, all right, well, it's on Game Pass. I have some excitement for it just because of what it is. But I walked away very surprised at how much I enjoyed it. But that is the first time in a while that outside of like some of these stupid simulator games I can't get off of, that I've been that excited. You know, I've been excited last year. Like I put 160 hours into a game where you're building a supermarket and renting people out. Like I could go out and do that in real life and make money doing it. But I'm doing it in a video game. For whatever reason, I enjoyed that more than half the stuff I played last year.
We talked about Indiana Jones for years. When are they going to show it to me? When are they going to show it to me? Then they finally showed it to me, and I said, I'm fucking in. I didn't need to see another single thing about it. And I played that game. I loved that game. It took me a little bit to get into it, but as I played through it, I loved that game. It is perfect for what it's supposed to be. And when it comes on a PlayStation, I will pay for it this time happily and play it again.
Yeah.
But it's because I was sold on it from the idea. I have more fun with games now that I have to like, oh, what is that? And then you watch a video for it. You're, oh, that looks cool. And then you're like, let's see what it's like when it comes out. Or watch somebody play it. I said it a couple minutes ago, and I said it before. Like that Claire Obscure game is interesting as fuck to me because it reminds me of Lost Odyssey, which is a game.
It reminds me of Lost Odyssey or like a weird Final Fantasy offshoot.
Well, that's because Lost Odyssey reminded me of Final Fantasy X. So all of this stuff drills down off of like games I greatly enjoy, and I'm looking for the next version of that game. And I don't know, burnout's real. Like especially in video games, it's super real. Sometimes I just play Super Nintendo games, man. That's why it's still hooked up. Because I want to have fun. I told you, we got the GameCube out, and my son's playing the GameCube. I'm playing the GameCube again because it's hooked up. I don't know.
I would have my Cube hooked up if I could find the receiver for my Wavebird.
Oh yeah, I've got it.
That's what's preventing me now. I found the HDMI adapter, and I was like, oh, sweet, I'll set it up to this TV behind me here. Couldn't find the Wavebird receiver, so I'm sure it's somewhere.
I just busted out some old. I got my Black and my Spice controllers out.
There you go.
But yeah, I just have more fun with that. I mean, what I'm saying is you're not wrong for feeling.
You're not wrong. And also, like, especially if you're somebody that has like a massive backlog of games. Like I have so many sealed PS4 games from that era that I bought. That just I look at like I have those 3 whatever Atlee or Ryzik.
Yeah, you went out
at some point.
You went on some weird tangent once where you're like, "Shit, I gotta buy all these." I was like, "Are you sure?"
Fair, yeah, but to be fair, look at how much they're worth now. Like nobody,
and
they're not being printed.
Those
and
Trails games and all that shit. Legend of Heroes, like.
I gave up on those just because those got a little more ridiculous and too many. Whereas like 3 Ryza games, I'm good, but I do need to play those, and they look cool as shit. But I knew getting those, like, you're not going to find these again. So
no.
And now, like I said, I think one of them is like up to $100.
Oh
damn,
easily.
But I have a lot of weird shit. Like when I look at PS4, because I just. And we'll talk about it with the next email, but I just did some like shelf moving and doing stuff like that, and it was reminded of like how big my PS4 collection of physical games is. So
yeah,
because at some point in that era, when I think once we hit the Pro, I kind of just played a lot more on the PlayStation. That was kind of what really moved me into using the PS4
me
more.
Too. That was like the final like.
And then we got whatever the One X was, and that was fine too. And I used it for stuff as well. But I really kicked over to the PlayStation more in that second half of the generation. A lot of it had to do with the RPGs and stuff, because a lot of those games were not coming out on the Xbox.
No.
So, like, I am shocked to this day that they still haven't fought to put any other East game on Xbox other than East Origin.
That's a weird thing.
You would think now it's like, all right, you can put Nordics out and people will buy it, but. Another game that I should play at some point.
Yeah, that's the other problem. I think I do have this like ridiculous backlog of not only physical but digital stuff too, man.
Yeah, and like
a game I'm slightly interested in. It goes on sale on PlayStation Network for $6. Okay.
Oh, I the other day I did the thing where I looked at, because I was like, all right, I wanted to compare like how many games do I have digitally on my Xbox in the Xbox ecosystem versus the PlayStation, because I assumed the Xbox ecosystem was going to be higher.
Mm-hmm.
They're neck and neck.
Yeah.
For my Xbox, it's very close to 700, and for the PlayStation, it's like 650.
Yeah.
So like they're kind of neck and neck. And again, some of those are plus and gold games and stuff like that, but
it's not your fault.
Even if you remove those, there's still a lot of digital purchases I bought.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not my fault there. But yeah, it is what it is. And I like more and more even this year, I've been like, yeah, I'm just going to play some of the stuff that I have.
Right.
And wait for this other stuff to go cheaper.
Right.
And like you and I right now, like we don't have a lot of stuff reserved.
And it's all weird stuff.
Lost Soul aside, I think would be the biggest thing I have reserved now, because if I look at just the stuff that I have on Amazon.
I can tell you what my stuff is right now. I have that reserved because you told me to. Claire Obscure at GameStop because I want the Steelbook. Roller Coaster Tycoon Classic for Switch, even though I know it's not going to be great, but I'd love that game. Suikoden, the collection, and baseball. It's a bunch of weird shit.
The only difference here is I have Split Fiction. I do also have Claire Obscure, because even though it is on Game Pass, that's actually a game that's supposed to be pro enhanced. It's not expensive. So.
No, it's a cheaper game, and I'm very interested
like I should probably own that game.
Yeah,
it looks cool.
And there's a Steelbook, so I'm in.
Mm-hmm.
I love Steelbooks.
So. It makes you feel any better. I have nothing pre-ordered.
I don't even blame you, man. Like I'm only reserving this stuff because I want to get a copy of it, and I'm worried these days. You're not guaranteed physical copies in 3 months.
Yeah.
No.
I think.
Oh,
all
and Rita.
In all,
we got Rita.
Oh yeah.
Rita's yeah. We have that. Yeah.
And DOA.
Oh.
Ooh, yeah. I forget about the ladies. So
it's coming next month.
Yeah.
I mean, burnout is definitely real. I definitely don't think there's anything wrong with just going back and playing games that you actually enjoy, because.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, one of the biggest things is all of these games get released broken, and there's so many patches and stuff you have to wait for. So like, why am I paying $70 for a game I have to wait a month to actually play right because they broke something when they released it, and now I got to just sit here and I mean, what was it? What was the most recent game you played where your save feature was having a problem, Kyle?
Oh, what was that? That I had a save problem. It was a more
I can't
recent.
Even remember now.
I think I told you too. Now. Indiana Jones is broken. I'm lucky that the workaround for my 1,000.
You and I were talking the other day, and like it seems like waiting on Civ 7 for a year is probably a good idea.
Seems like the right move.
Seems like the right move.
Well, and remember City Skylines busted.
busted.
So bad
It's
they
still
had to take
busted.
it out.
Mm-hmm. Still busted. So
So don't feel bad
if
you're going back through that kind of thing. Like, I mean, dude, try. I mean, I did what what Ryan said on the first podcast we did with him, and I told myself this year I'm only buying 10 games. That's it. Unless it's like retro stuff that I just wanted to buy. But that has actually made me think harder about what I really want to go ahead and put into my list, because like I buy all the WWE games just to have them all.
Right.
But I mean, last year I probably wouldn't have bought 24, but thankfully Kyle bought it for me. And
well, that was it hit the. Oh no, that's right.
You found it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And I mean, I do want 25, but I'm probably not going to buy it when it first drops, because
I wouldn't.
It's not something that I absolutely am in dire need to play right now. So it's just like, don't feel bad, man.
No, he's like I said in his email, he's playing Darksiders 1 and 2 so he can play through. That's exactly the kind of shit I do all the time.
Yeah, for sure, man.
I mean, like I said, there's some nights where I sit here and like, maybe I'm just gonna sit here for 2-3 hours and play Laundry Store Simulator and listen to this guy tell creepy stories on YouTube for 3 hours.
Maybe I finally play Mass Effect Andromeda for the hell of it. After I beat these 3, I own it. It's over there.
I have actually thought about going back and doing that game again.
Yeah.
I only ever played through it once on PC when it came out.
Yeah.
And it was not a great experience. So
there you go.
But I will say, as someone who loves Mass Effect, that game weirdly has probably the best combat of the 4 of Mass Effect. It's really weird. It's really good.
Well, but they had some time to figure.
It's trapped in a game where everything else is not very good. Like, the story's bad. There's not a single memorable character. Like, it took me the other day, one of my friends, it took us like 5 minutes to remember that the Asari's name was like P something, like PB, I think. But I can't remember a single character from that game. So it's ridiculous. Like, their names, none of it, it's all meaningless.
Takes place after 3, right?
So the setup for that game is you were part of how they set it up is you can either be male or female character. You play as a brother or sister. So whatever, if you're the male, then the sister is trapped in a pod. You are part of like a group of people that is meant to go off and repopulate a different part of the universe. And you got out when the relays were being destroyed.
That was at the end of 3 when everybody was leaving. Yeah. Okay.
So you have other parts of the alien races that were on this like Noah's Ark type ship.
Right.
And then there, like I said, they oddly, I can't remember, they either remove an alien race from that game and just kind of talk about it shittily, like, oh, they were on this other Noah's Ark thing that didn't make it or something. But then they introduce a new one. Like, it's weird.
Okay.
So I don't know. It's fine, but I would say the combat is like really good.
I own it.
It's surprising.
There's nothing stopping me from playing.
I have it too on console, so at some point I should look at it and just go through it again. Maybe I will. But yeah. And that honestly, I've had more fun doing that lately too.
Where I have a lot of fun.
The digital library, and I'm like, oh, I have this. I didn't even realize I have this. Maybe I should look at it again. So like he mentioned, Darksiders. Like, I have that collection on both systems.
I think
maybe I should look at it. And I never played I watched somebody play the first one to completion. I think I have it digitally, but I never played any of them.
I did either.
Except for the Diablo-like one. I tried that a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Genesis.
Yeah.
So, and supposedly they're going to make the 4th one finally, so maybe I should go back.
That was the plan the whole time.
Yeah. So we're going to finally do the 4th one. Yeah, but no, I don't think he's wrong. We can kick over to our last email, which leads more into the collecting territory. Brady from Freehold, New Jersey. Howdy, guys. More of a collecting question for you all. What do you guys recommend for shelving for displaying your collection? Been having a hell of a time finding something that I think would look great for displaying games. Do you guys have any recommendations on bookshelves to use? Thanks.
This is like the eternal question, because...
Well, you have a really great thing that nobody else can get behind you.
Really
if
lucky.
People are watching this.
It's not really lucky.
Got very
so you
lucky
can see it. It's half empty because I'm reorganizing stuff, but there's Cube and Switch stuff up here. These are original shelves from our GameStop, which was a Funko Land years and years and years ago. And these are big cabinets that we have. We would keep like systems and stuff, like DSs and stuff. Mm-hmm. So we had them at the ready when we need them, because they have, the doors are currently taken off, but these are big like sliding glass plastic doors that will go back and you can lock them shut, which is nice. These things are perfect.
But those are the perfect. They're the perfect way to display those, because they're the perfect size for the cartridge.
They're built
for
to hold that kind of stuff.
And they're sturdy as hell.
They're not gonna. If you wanted to buy these things, I'm guessing probably $1,000 because I have two
for sure.
Luckily, they fit exactly in my house. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
But the other, like, trying to actually like find real shelves to do it, like media shelves suck. No one out there has figured this out. That like
the problem I have with media shelves, because I have the one that I have is such a piece of garbage that like I am amazed that it survived moving to a different house.
Mm-hmm. I have
and
two
it's
of those.
Still in one piece that it did not. I really thought when we moved into this house, I really thought that would be the item that the movers were going to break. I didn't think it was going to be my reclining chair. And that's what they ended up breaking. I thought for sure, I'm like, this fucking shelf, like they're gonna hit a corner and it's just gonna be like just a paper thing that's just gonna fall, and it didn't. But that thing that I have, it's a piece of garbage.
Mm-hmm.
Like it could fall apart at any moment.
I have two of them that I got from like Best Buy over the years, because they were like $100 and they held a lot of stuff, but they're not good.
I'll say like if you're just looking at it from a distance, they look great.
Sure.
But like if you know like what's going on with it, it's trash.
The biggest problem I have with the ones that I got from Best Buy is every shelf is the same size, except the top one is like half. So it can hold like DS games and Game Boy Advance games just fine.
Yeah.
But then it's like, well, what do I actually put on the top? How do I organize this stuff? And it's just, it's a fucking mess.
I had bought recently another, what they described, I guess, as a media. It's not like the trashy one that I have that has worked for. I was able to reorganize my Xbox because the Xbox One at some point just became, that's how it's going to be for the future for that series. Like, because now it's Series X, they're all like one thing.
Right.
But I moved those all onto a different media shelf, and that has worked okay so far. And that was an Amazon purchase, and that was just because I was looking at one day after all the things I bought Black Friday, I'm like, I'm going to have to do something. Like there are 15 new games here I can't put anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
They're just sitting on this thing. So it got to that point, but it's hard. It's really hard to find something like, and if you want something like perfect, it's going to be really fucking expensive.
Yeah. So you kind of have to try to make do with what you can
watched
find.
A guy not on a gaming channel, but on a movie collecting channel, which like the boxes would be the same size, but the shelving that he bought was like custom made. It was like titanium stuff where like it's never gonna bend. And we're talking something to be like $1,500.
Yeah.
And like the shit was cool, but
no, yeah, I've seen stuff like that like pop up on social media and stuff for me too, because I said the phrase out loud once. But yeah, it's tough. I think the cheapest thing that I could come up with, which works because it you can put more than just games on it. So like if you go to IKEA, obviously IKEA is the answer, but the Billy bookcase is like the standard bookcase they have. But what's nice about it is you can buy extra shelves, so you can space it out how you want it, except for obviously the one in the middle, but you can make it work however. But the thing about them I don't like, and I do like at the same time, is they're deep. So like they're deep enough that it's not going to fit on the shelf nice like something like this does. It's going to be pushed in. But if you're also the kind of person like me who collects, and like you who collects little pieces of figures and all that kind of stuff, you can put them in front of your things. So there's room on the shelf to hold like games and that. You can also get away with putting your games on those shelves vertical, or like, flip on their sides so they stack upwards and you can fit more doing it that way. There's a lot of like give and take you can do with those kind of things. And I think you can get the white ones, I think are like $70. And the black ones I think are like 90 or 100. And then shelves are like $10. But you can get a pretty decent amount of stuff. I have two of those in the other room, which holds my strategy guides. Kyle's seen those. I have a mental defect.
Those shelves have to be warped at this point.
Yeah, though. A little bit. But I collect strategy guides, and I have a shitload of them. But those fit perfect on those shelves.
More than I do.
Those shelves are exactly the right size for those.
I have a shelf of strategy guides. You have two
about
whole
1.5 big ones. Yeah. I have a lot. But yeah, Billy bookcases are probably the one that you'll see on the internet the most in terms of like what people use. Mainly because you can do a lot with them yourself if you are any good with like that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, or you get down the real dark and dirty path where you start thinking about collecting VHS tapes.
Oof.
How to display those.
We talk about that too much,
Lord.
and one of us is going to break.
We talk about that too much. It's going to be me.
It's you. It's not going to be me. I can't do it.
That's all.
We have the other part of that convention in April, and I know that there's going to be VHS tapes there.
Yeah.
So
there'll be plenty of spooky ones, I'm sure.
And all it's going to take is the right one where I look at it and go, like, I mean, I have a couple behind me. You know, I got Friday the 13th Part 2. It's not like I don't have any.
Right.
Like,
I've got a couple kicking around. I have Jackie Chan.
But it's
still.
like, there's going to be a day where it's just like, I have
the
to be
floodgate
in on this
opens.
now. So, and
Package
we're a while from
Ding
fixing
dong.
up the basement.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it's I've had the eternal struggle for video game shelving for years to the point where I literally like measured my other room, like top to the ceiling, like how much could I fit, and started drawing up plans for like, should I just build this shit myself? And luckily I never got around.
That's the other option, but yeah,
I never got around to doing it because it probably would have cost me too much by the time I was done doing it myself. But
yeah,
I think it would be cheaper than like the titanium stuff that people are doing, but
at all.
That's insane. That's an insanity level, like, but it still would have a high cost.
That's I make video content for YouTube daily level of shelving.
It is, yes. So, but that's going to wrap up for emails. As always, send in your emails to podcast572@gmail.com. Otherwise, we will be back in another 2 weeks for another episode of the podcast. Thank you for listening or watching.
Thank you, everyone.
Stay safe.